Gotta get ready.
Welcome to a half hour of Mind Web. Short stories from the world of pleasant
I
fiction.
hate you so goddamn much. Alright, let's get there.
This is Michael Hampton. The Mind Web story this time comes from the book Transformations, Understanding World History Through Science Fiction, a collection edited by Daniel Roselle, published by Aquatic Paperback. This is Henry Kuttner's Absalom. At dusk, Joel Locke came home from the university where he held a chair of psychodynamics. He came quietly into the house by a side door and stood listening, a tall, tight-lipped man of 40 with a faintly sardonic mouth and cool gray eyes. He could hear the precipitron humming, and that meant Abigail Schuler, the housekeeper, was busy with her duties. A small elevator took him noiselessly upstairs. There he moved with curious stealth. He went directly to a door at the end of the hall and paused before it, his head bent, his eyes unfocused. He heard nothing. Presently, he opened the door and stepped into the room. Instantly, the feeling of unsureness jolted back, freezing him where he stood. He made no sign, nor his mouth tightened. He forced himself to remain quiet as he glanced around. It could have been the room of a normal 20-year-old, not a boy of 8. Tennis rackets were heaped in a disorderly fashion against a pile of book records. Abruptly, Locke turned. The televisor screen was blank, yet he could have sworn that eyes had been watching him from it. This wasn't the first time it had happened. After a while, he turned again and squatted to examine the book wheels. He picked out one labeled Bryophan Entropic Logic. He turned the cylinder over in his hand, scowling. Then he replaced it and went out of the room with a last considering look at the televisor. Downstairs, Abigail Schuler was fingering the master-made switchboard. Her prim mouth was as tight as her severe bun of gray flat hair at the back of her neck. Oh, good evening, Abby. Where's Absalom?
Out playing, Brother Locke. You're home early. I haven't finished the living room yet.
Well, what is it?
He's looking peachy.
Outdoor exercise is what he needs. I think I'm going to send him to a summer camp.
Brother Locke, I don't see why you won't let him go to Baja, California. He's set his heart on it. You let him study all the hard subjects he wanted before. Now you put your foot down. It's none of my affair. But I can tell you he's pining.
Well, he'd find worse if I said yes. I have my reasons for not wanting him to study entropic logic. Do you know what it involves?
I don't. You know I don't. I'm not an educated woman, Brother Locke. But Absalom is as bright as a button.
Locke shrugged and moved to the window, looking down at the play court below, where his 8-year-old son played handball. Absalom did not look up. He seemed engrossed in his game. A boy who looked 10, whose maturity level was 20, and yet he was still a child of 8. Not easy to handle. There were many parents just now with the same problem. Something was happening to the graph curve that charted the percentage of child geniuses born in recent times. Something had begun to stir lazily far back in the brains of the coming generations, and a new species of the sort was coming slowly into being. Locke knew that well. In his own time, he too had been a child genius. Other parents might meet the problem in other ways, he thought stubbornly. Not himself. He knew genius children to one of the creches where they could develop among their own kind, but not Locke. Absalom's place is here with me, where I can... And he caught the house.
Oh, right.
And shrugged again, irritably, going back to the conversation. Of course, he's bright. But not bright enough yet to go to Baja, California and study Cope's logic.
There we go.
Cope's logic.
Sorry about that.
Too advanced with a boy. Even you ought to be able to realize that. It would involve mental strain that he isn't ready for yet.
Let him take calculus.
Oh, leave me alone. I think that it's time for another rapport with Absalom. The housekeeper looked at him sharply, opened her thin lips to speak, and closed them with an almost audible snap of disapproval. She didn't understand entirely, of course, how a rapport worked or what it accomplished. She only knew that there were ways in which it was possible to enforce hypnosis to pry open a mind willy-nilly and search it for contraband thoughts. She shook her head, lips pressed tight. Don't try to interfere, Abigail, in things you don't understand. I tell you, I know what's best for Absalom. He's in the same place I was 30-odd years ago. Who could know better? Now call him in, will you? I'll be in my study. Abigail watched his retreating back, the pucker between her brows. It was hard to know what was best. The mores of the day demanded rigid good conduct. But sometimes a person had trouble deciding in her own mind what was the right thing to do. In the old days, after the atomic wars, when license ran riot, and anybody could do anything he pleased, life must have been easier. Nowadays, in the violent backswing to a Puritan culture, you were expected to think twice and search your soul before you did a doubtful thing. Well, Abigail had no choice this time. She clicked on the wall microphone and spoke into it.
Absalom,
Yes, Sister Schuler?
come in. Your father wants you.
In his study, Locke stood quiet for a moment, considering. Then he reached for the house microphone. Sister Schuler, I'm using the televisor. Ask Absalom to wait. He sat down before his private visor. His hands moved deftly. Get me Dr. Ryan at the Wyoming Quiz Kid Crash. This is Joel Locke calling. Idly, as he waited, he reached out to take an old-fashioned cloth-bound book from the shelf of antique curiosa. He read, "But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as ye hear the sound of the trumpet, then ye shall say, Absalom reigneth in Hebron." Brother Locke? Dr. Ryan, I'm sorry to be bothering you. Oh, that's all right. I have plenty of time. I'm supposed to be supervised at the creche, but the kids are running it to suit themselves. How's Absalom? Well, there's a limit. I've given the kid his head, outlined a broad curriculum, and now he wants to study in Cope's logic. Only 2 universities that handle the subject, and the nearest in Baja, California. He could commute by copter, couldn't he? That takes too long. Besides, one of the requirements is inboarding under a strict regime. I got the rudiments at home. Kid here are taking it up. Are you sure you understood it? Yeah, I understood it enough. Enough to realize it's nothing for a kid to study until his horizons have been expanded. Well, we're having no trouble with it. But don't forget that Absalom's a genius, not an ordinary youngster. I know my responsibility, too. A normal home environment has to be maintained. We've disagreed on that point before. All the quiz kids are pretty self-sufficient, Locke. Absalom's a genius and a child. Therefore, he's lacking in a sense of proportion. There are more dangers for him to avoid. I think it's a grave mistake to give the quiz kids their head and let them do what they like. I refuse to send Absalom to a creche for an excellent reason. Putting all the boy geniuses in a batch and letting them fight it out, that's a completely artificial environment. I'm not arguing. It's your business, Locke. Apparently, you'll never admit that there's a sine curve of geniuses these days. A steady increase. Why, in another generation... I was a child genius myself, but I got older. I had enough trouble with my father. He was a tyrant. If I hadn't been lucky to manage to warp me adjusted, but I had trouble. And I don't want Absalom to have that trouble. That's why I'm using psychodynamics. Narcosynthesis? Enforced hypnotism? It's not enforced. It's a valuable mental catharsis. Under hypnosis, he tells me everything that's on his mind, and I can help him. I didn't know that you were doing that.
Buckin, come on.
It's a good idea. I don't tell you how to run your crash.
Come
No,
on.
but the kids do. A lot of them are smarter than I am. Immature intelligence is dangerous. Now, don't think I'm trying to hold Absalom back. Entropic logic I can understand, but he can't yet. So you have to wait on that. Say, do you know if your boys have been communicating with Absalom? I don't know. I don't interfere with their lives. All right. I don't want them interfering with mine or with Absalom. I wish you'd find out, Ryan, if they're getting in touch with him. Well, I'll try, but if I were you, Brother Locke, I'd let Absalom go to Baja California if he wants to. Locke broke the connection, and his thoughts moved chaotically through his mind. He forgot that Absalom was waiting for him and remembered only when Abigail's voice on the wall transmitter announced the evening meal. Locke felt the beginnings of a long-standing irritation at Abigail's attitude that she had to protect Absalom against his father. Perhaps conscious of that, Locke himself finally brought up the subject of Baja California. You've apparently been studying the entropic logic thesis. Are you convinced, Jeff, that it's too advanced for you?
No, Dad. I'm not convinced of that. I mean, you think my mind couldn't assimilate entropic logic safely? I'm convinced that it could.
Exactly. You've the advantage of knowing yourself better than I could know you. But you're handicapped by immaturity, a lack of sense of proportion. And I've had the advantage of more experience.
Your own, though, Dad. How much would such values apply to me?
Well, you must let me be the judge of that, son.
Maybe. I wish I'd gone to a quiz kid crash, though.
Aren't you happy here?
Sure I am, Abby. You know that.
You could be a lot less happy. Entropic logic, for instance, presupposes a grasp of temporal variations being assumed for problems involving relativity.
That gives me a headache. And if you're so worried about Absalom overtraining his mind, you should just talk to him like that. Coffee, Brother Locke? No? Absalom?
Look, Absalom, until we settle this argument, matters must stand. Now, don't tackle that book on entropic logic again, or anything else on the subject, right?
I'm not sure. As a matter of fact, the book's already given me a few ideas.
Well, you're still young. A few days won't matter. Don't forget that legally I exercise control over you, though I'll never do that without your agreement, and I'm asking you justly.
Justice for you may not be justice for me.
The next day, Locke went through his classes in an absent-minded fashion, and at noon he televised Dr. Ryan at the Wyoming Quiz Kids creche. Ryan seemed entirely too casual and noncommittal. He said he had asked the quiz kids if they had been communicating with Absalom, and they had said no. But they'll lie at the drop of a hat, of course, if they think it's advisable. What's so funny? I don't know. The way the kids tolerate me, I'm useful to them at times. But originally, I was supposed to be supervisor here, and now the boys supervise me. I have tremendous respect for the quiz kids, and I think you are making a very grave mistake in the way you're handling Absalom. I was in your house once, about a year ago. It's your house, Locke. Only one room belongs to Absalom. You can't leave any of his possessions around anywhere else. You're dominating him tremendously. I'm trying to help him. Are you sure you know the right way? I'm certain. Even if I'm wrong, does that mean I'm committing failure? That's an interesting point. You could have thought of the right words for macrocide, parasite, or fratricide easily enough, but it's seldom one kills his son. The word doesn't come to the tongue quite as instantly. What the devil do you mean? Just be careful. I believe, you see, in the mutant theory after running this crest for 15 years. I wonder if you know that the mutation is supposed to be cumulative. 3 generations ago, 2% of the population were child geniuses. 2 generations ago, it was 5%. 1 generation, a sine curve, brother Locke, and the IQ mounts proportionately. Wasn't your father a genius too? He was, but a maladjusted one. I thought so. Mutations take time. The theory is that the transition is taking place right now from Homo sapiens to Homo superior. Yeah, I know. It's logical enough. Each generation of mutations, this dominant mutation at least taking another step forward until Homo superior is reached. What that will be, I don't think we'll ever know. I don't think we'd understand. How long it will take, I wonder. The next generation, I don't think so. 5 more generations, 10, 20, each one taking another step, realizing another buried potentiality until the summit is reached. Superman, Joel. Absalom isn't a Superman, or a super child for that matter. Are you sure? Good Lord, don't you suppose I know my own son? I won't answer that. I know I'm certain that I don't know all there is to know about the quiz kids in my crest. Beltram, the Denver crest supervisor, tells me the same thing. These quiz kids are the next step in the mutation. You and I are members of a dying species, Brother Locke. He got home at 5. He came in quietly by the side entrance and took the elevator upstairs. Absalom's door was closed, but voices were coming to it faintly. Locke listened for a time, then he rapped sharply on the panel. Absalom, come downstairs. I want to talk to you. In the living room, he told Abigail to stay out for a while. With his back to the fireplace, he waited until Absalom came. The enemies of my lord the king, and all that rise against thee to do thee hurt, be as that young man is. The boy entered without obvious embarrassment. He came forward and he faced his father. The boy's face calm and untroubled. He had poise, Locke saw, no doubt of that. I overheard some of your conversation, Absalom.
It's just as well. I'd have told you tonight anyway. I've got to go on with that entropic logic course.
Who were you advising?
A boy I know. Malcolm Roberts in the Denver Quiz Kid Press.
Discussing entropic logic with him after what I told you.
You'll remember that I didn't agree.
Then you will also remember that I mentioned that I had legal control over you.
Legal, yes. Moral, no.
This has nothing to do with morals.
It has, though. And with ethics. Many of the youngsters, even younger than I at the Quiz Kid presses, are studying entropic logic. It hasn't harmed them. I must go to a press, or to Baja, California. I have to.
I'm convinced that that particular study might be dangerous for you, Absalom. I don't want you to be hurt. I want you to have every possible opportunity, especially the ones I never had.
No. It wasn't lack of opportunity, it was incapability.
What do you mean?
You could never allow yourself to be convinced I could safely study entropic logic.
Oh, damn.
I've talked to other quiz kids.
About private matters?
They're of my race. And please don't talk about filial love.
Hey, inner joke.
Long ago.
Keep talking, Absalom, but
How are you?
Good day.
Having too much fun today?
For a long time.
Enjoying yourself?
You're holding me back.
How was your stream, by the way?
the step mutation cumulative, I see.
It is a mutation. Not the complete one.
If
but
you can
my
hear
father
me.
is one of the first steps. You're a farther along than he was, and I'm farther than you. My children will be closer toward the ultimate mutation. The only psychodynamic experts worth anything are the child geniuses of your generation.
Thanks.
You're afraid of me. You're afraid of me and jealous of me.
Well, I mean, you can just chill out here till you fall asleep.
Once you
We
were
got
convinced that
we
you
got your
were
favorite show
being
on.
you couldn't bear to think
That's
I'd
good.
displace you.
That's
It's a basic
good.
psychological
Just
work
chill
in you.
out, hang
You
out
have
with
to come from
us.
his grandfather in a different way.
Yeah, just
Before you
hit
became
just hit that
psychoanalytic, you were
snooze
a small
button
guy,
and
dragging out the
catch
secret
some
mastery
Z's
student,
while
molding
listening
your
to
brains
this.
as Adam was molded. You're afraid
I
that
won't
I'll
be
have
I
to
won't be mad
you
if you go to sleep. That's okay. You know, everybody
Yes,
sleeps.
it is. A lot of
I'm not gonna
guys
be.
just work
I'm
so hard
gonna.
to burn themselves out and
If
lose
you
the
need
money,
some
the
quiet
possibility of
time
failure.
and some
It wouldn't
interesting
have cost so much of that
thoughts,
dangerous
just
under these
listening to
circumstances,
this
it hasn't been the
wonderful
one thing coming
program.
up in your mind.
And I appreciate you coming around and just chilling out.
You were hoping I would burn myself out so I wouldn't be a possible rival anymore. I see. You let me study math, plane geometry.
Yeah, shit, yeah.
But you kept
You got an emote?
even
Let's
though
see
the
it.
subject already was
Let's give it a
carefully
look.
drawn up on it to assure yourself that it was something you could grasp. You made sure I couldn't outstrip you. I wouldn't get me
Nice.
knowledge you couldn't get, and that's why you wouldn't let me take entropic logic. Why? You couldn't understand it yourself.
Ah, gotcha, gotcha.
And it was beyond you. You're not flexible. Your logic isn't flexible. It's founded on the fact that a second-hand...
That's all good. That's okay.
You've lost a sense of wonder.
That's alright.
You've translated too much from abstract to concrete. I can understand entropic logic. I can understand it.
It's kind of a long story, but I know.
No.
I don't know. I think it works. I mean, it's fine.
I learned to keep part of my mind.
If you feel it works, so you feel it works, man.
That's impossible. It is for you. I am a further step in the mutation.
I'm trying to make this work,
You don't know anything about.
because
And I know this.
just slowly
I'm not far enough advanced for
building up and
the
stuff.
boys and the pressures
Just
are
slowly building up.
Your parents followed natural laws. It's the role of Homo sapiens to protect Homo superior, as it's the role of any parent to protect its young. But only immature parents are out of step like you. I'm immature and
It looks so good so far. Well, that's good. Thank God. You know, if it looked like shit, I'd be so sad. I'd be like, no, inner joke, no. It looks bad, no.
lies in your flexibility and your Homo superior talents, whatever they are. Against that, balance the fact that I'm a physically mature adult and you weigh less than
I would be very sad at that point. I'd be like, I put in so many hours.
And I'm going to prove to you that you are my inferior. You're going to admit it to me. Locke went upstairs. He touched the switch on his bureau, reached into a drawer and withdrew an elastic loose
But yeah, no.
Back at the door.
I'm glad you found something you enjoy, man.
Absalom had not moved, but Abigail Schuler was standing.
But you know, take your time. You know, you're becoming slowly popular. Hopefully it's last. You know. Hopefully you go past me in views and you know get enough people.
At last, he gasped with panic and dashed away, blindly seeking escape where there was none. Locke plunged after him.
That's what I hope.
Snatched up
You
the
know.
little broom and thrust it at Locke's
Impossible to go past me. Well, you are getting followers left and right, man. Well, that's not true at all. That's not true at all, man. Don't lie.
and Absalom looked at each other, and suddenly the woman dropped to her knees and sobbed.
Just make sure.
He's not dead.
The peak at the art Twitch. Oh yeah.
I know how. Please, Abby. You'll faint or something. Lie down for a bit. It's all right, really.
Just looking at all those artists.
With a thoughtful glance at his father, went to the televisor. He called the Denver crash.
And then
Briefly, he outlined the situation.
have to fucking erase this. This is so much fun.
Do this.
And there followed certain intricate instructions.
I've got it.
This one.
It won't hurt him. Here, he psychotically worked already. This will just give it a different twist, one that's safe for you. It's projection. Your father will externalize all his wishes, feelings, and so forth on you. You'll get his pleasure only out of what you
Oh,
want.
yum.
And you'll be able to control you.
The audio just gets so delicious at this point.
Work with a friendly
This is
wife,
when the
too.
audio just
Be careful
doesn't
of
take a
voices
shit
there.
on
They don't
itself.
have safety. You must
Just
be made
sounds so
honest to you,
good.
that's all. Any killing would be awkward to handle. Besides, I suppose you wouldn't want that. No. He's my father.
Absalom turned toward the unconscious figure on the floor. For a long time, the girl had been shadowy now. Locke was used to it. He could still fulfill his ordinary function, so he was not insane in any sense of the word. Nor could he tell the truth to anyone. They had created a psychic block. Day after day, he went to the university and taught psychodynamics and came home and ate and waited in hopes that Absalom would call him on the televisor. And when Absalom called, he might condescend to tell something of what he was doing in Baja California.
But looking at all those artists, looking at every single other
For
artist,
those things mattered now. They were the only things that mattered. The projection was complete.
I'm not as good as many artists, but, you know, that's life.
He was a good son. He called daily. Though sometimes, when work was pressing, he had to make the call first.
Yeah.
But Joel and Locke could always work at his immense scrapbook, filled with clippings and photographs.
I hope one day I can get better.
He was writing Absalom's biography, too.
One day I will get
He
better.
walked otherwise through a shadow world, existing in flesh and blood, and realized happiness only when Absalom's face appeared on the televisor's screen. But he had not forgotten anything. He hated Absalom, and hated the horrible, unbreakable bonds that would forever chain him to his own flesh, the flesh that was not quite his own, but one step farther up the ladder of the new mutation. Sitting there in the twilight of unreality, his scrapbook spread before him, the televisor set never used, except when Absalom called, but standing ready before his chair. Joel and Locke nursed his hatred, and the quiet, secret satisfaction that had come to him. Someday, Absalom would have a son. Someday. Someday. That was Henry Cutney's story, Absalom, reprinted in the collection edited by Daniel Rosell called Transformation, Understanding World History through Science Fiction, published by Fawcett. I'm Michael Hansen. Reading with me, Carol Cowan and Rolf Hansen. Technical operation for this program by Leslie Hilsenhoff. MindWeb is a production of WHA Radio in Madison, a service of the University of Wisconsin Extension. Welcome to a half hour of MindWeb. Short stories from the worlds of speculative fiction. This is Michael Hansen. The Mind Web story this time comes from the book edited by Kirby McCauley, titled Night Chills, published by Avon. This is Robert Bloch's The Funny Farm. In order to comprehend Joseph Satterlee's obsession with the comics, one would have to be old enough to remember the 20s. More than that, it would be necessary to remember the decade as Satterlee himself did, and such a subjective recall is impossible even for a psychiatrist. Now, this isn't to say that a psychiatrist wouldn't have helped. Indeed, it was a matter of more or less common knowledge around Redford that Joe Satterlee was a real weirdo, and inevitably his place of residence was dubbed the Funny Farm. Because of the comics, naturally, the thousands upon thousands of comics Satterlee collected. It was generally conceded that Satterlee would pay a ridiculously high price for any old piece of multicolored paper depicting the antics of Little Jimmy, Salesman Sam, or Polly and her pals. Obviously, he must be some kind of a nut. Spending all that money on such foolishness was like... The people who said such things generally paused here because they didn't know what it was like. Only Satterlee knew that. It was like buying a ticket to the past. And that, of course, was exactly what Satterlee was doing. He was time traveling, returning via the medium of comics to the very best and most comfortable portion of that past, which, for him, was the 20s. Not the roaring 20s, mind you. The 20s didn't roar for Satterlee or for anyone else who spent his childhood during that dim and distant decade. Actually, it was a very quiet time, except for the 4th of July. There were less crowds, less traffic, even the movies were silent. And if one's family actually owned a super heterodyne radio, it was heard through the medium of earphones. Roaring would have hurt Joe Satterlee's ears, for he had mastoiditis. Even the earphones gave him trouble. As a result, Satterlee was frequently absent from school and almost always away from the other children in the playgrounds and vacant lots. He was a shy youngster, a loner, a great reader. Perhaps that's why the comics became so important to him. He'd actually learned to read from the funny papers, and his most pleasant memories centered around those long, lonely afternoons in the attic with a collection of Sunday comic sections that he started accumulating at the age of 7. The funny papers were actually funny in those days. There were Happy Hooligan with a tin can on his head, Chinless Andy Gump, and Rich Uncle Bim from Australia, Barney Google and the faithful Sparkplug, Boob McNutt, Count Screwloose of Toulouse, Cross-Eyed Iggy, and the Napoleon hat, lanky Martin Dumpy, bewhiskered Jeff. He knew them all, followed them faithfully throughout the week, and reveled with them when they cut loose in full-page color on Sundays. When Jiggs took off his shoes and sneaked out on Maggie for a forbidden orgy of corned beef and cabbage at Dinty Moore's, he tiptoed along at his heels. When Moon Mullins escorted Lord Flushbottom to the pool hall, he went with them. When Crazy Cat cavorted across the lunar-like landscape of Never Never Land, he was there. Brickbats flew, grotesque capered and saw stars, animals spoke, balloon-encased light bulbs signaled the origin of ideas and empty heads. Here was a world of fancy with a language and logic all its own, a world of escape and enchantment. And somehow, because Joe Satterlee was largely cut off from the actual world beyond the rain-streaked or frost-fogged attic windows, somehow the funny pages served him as a guide to reality. His Africa was the continent of Hans and Fritz, where Katzenjammers dwelt with a cannibal king who wore a top hat and a monocle. And the Herring brothers pursued piratical careers to the point of idiocy. Later, it became the realm of Tarzan, of Tantor and Numa, and Jad Beljar, the Golden Lion. His ideas of higher education derived from Harold Keene. His notion of the business world from Winnie Winkle and Tilly the Toiler. Even in the early 30s, his impression of life in the big city was based on the exploits of Dick Tracy or the vicissitudes of Apple Mary and Dixie Dugan. A psychiatrist might make a case for Satterley's lifelong bachelorhood from the attitudes implanted by a faithful reading of Mr. and Mrs. Toots and Casper in the tragicomedies enacted by George Bungle. A psychiatrist might make quite a case indeed, pointing out that concentration on brightly colored figures in the darkened attic can serve to induce a form of auto-hypnosis, and preoccupation with the idealized childhood of a Skeezix, a Skippy, or even an Ella Sinters may make the reality pale by comparison. And certainly a psychiatrist might sense a peril in too great an identification with the dream worlds of Little Nemo, Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, Prince Valiant, Mandrake the Magician, and at the very end of the cycle, Superman. Not that Joe Satterley emerged from comic reading at the end of the 30s as a Superman character himself. If anything, he was hardly the equal of a Clark Kent. He became a bookkeeper, then an accountant, but was still, particularly after the death of his parents, more of a loner than ever. And his collection grew. All through his years in the city, he lived in a boarding house without, needless to say, the amusing companionship of a Major Hoople. But he still retained the family home outside Redford. And it was here that he dispatched the comics he acquired through bookstore browsing and mail-order acquisition. It was here, following his retirement in the late 60s, that he settled down to what, well, could be described as a second childhood. Premature senility might be the psychiatric diagnosis. As for Satterley himself, he knew only that he felt safe and comfortable away from a world where everything had changed and even the comic strips weren't funny anymore. He didn't like that world. He didn't even like his own image in the mirror. It reminded him too much of Casper Milquetoast. But he did like sitting in the attic, where rack-lined walls housed his accumulation, and reading once again the adventures of Little Orphan Annie and Joe Palooka, or Terry and the Pirates. Once a week, he went into Redford for groceries, and more infrequently he ventured to the bank, the hardware store, and the barber shop. People in town had a somewhat vague impression of him, and his impression of them was equally remote. Somehow, gradually, he seemed to withdraw into a realm of his own, where all problems were neatly compartmentalized in panel strips, a world of bright color, silently sent messages, a world of easy laughter and innocent adventure, which comforted him by satirizing the harsh reality of the wilderness outside his windows. He could laugh at that reality with the Little King or even the Neds. Sometimes he laughed out loud. And when on occasion he did turn on his small-screen television set for the news, he found himself watching the war footage and echoing Wimpy's ancient dictum of, "Let's you and him fight." Joe Satterley often dreamed about comics now, and at first it rather disconcerted him to encounter A.B. Kabibble or Daddy Warbucks in the familiar surroundings of his own home. But after a time, he became accustomed to it, and in fancy, he could picture the dark halls of the rambling old house peopled with the colorful companions of his youthful imaginings. Again, a psychiatrist might have a field day with a man whose erotic fantasies revolved around the earliest incarnation of Dixie Dugan. But then, what would a psychiatrist know about the child who dwelt within the mind of an elderly, graying eccentric? The mind is merely an instrument of perception, and if it chooses to perceive the dream more vividly than the reality, who is to say that this is an error? Satterley loved his comic strip companions, and he came to feel that they loved him. They lived together quite contentedly, and if Satterley was indeed childish, he preferred the image to that of Casper Milquetoast, the quite ineffectual man in the mirror whose empty daily routine protested both the comics collection and the child who retreated into its ageless domain in search of long-ago laughter. So what went on in Satterley's house was really of no concern to a psychiatrist at all. The only person who became concerned was Lenny Morgan, and Lenny Morgan was no psychiatrist. He was only a thief. But a damn good one, Morgan told himself. If he hadn't been so good, he wouldn't be hot. And if he wasn't hot, he wouldn't have come to this backwoods boondock to stick things out. Tall timber makes a good hiding place, but Morgan figured it was a drag. He was just about ready to take his chances and cut back to town when he heard about this Joe Satterley and his comic collection. The first item of value that a good thief steals is information. And the information that Morgan obtained through listening to a chance conversation in the barber shop sounded valuable enough. He absorbed it in the way a computer absorbs data. An old man living alone in a big house on a back road 3 miles outside of town. No friends. Well fixed for money. Spends it all for his collection. Must have thousands of comics out there. Comic. That was the operative word, setting the circuits in motion, signaling all systems go. Because Morgan's computer-like mind already had data stored away on comics. It was his business to know about hobbies and hobbyists. Take your average stamp collection, or better still, don't take it. No matter what the owner laid out for it over the years, chances are that a dealer will only offer 1/10 of the catalog value, except for certain U.S. items. And if the collection contains rarities, you must peddle it around to the big operators who can afford to buy. And this is as risky as trying to sell a Rembrandt to an art dealer. You know once where it came from. And the big stamp merchants know who owns the scarce, valuable material. They'd spot Morgan as a ringer every time. Coins are better, particularly gold and silver. But a good haul's bulky, heavy, hard to handle. You need the same amount of manpower it would take to rob a mint, so coins are out. Morgan never touched coins. Painting, sculpture, antiques. Again, these items are too heavy, too awkward to load, too difficult to stack away till you dump them. Jewelry is good, but for that you need a fence. The fence will steal you blind. Morgan didn't approve of anyone stealing from a fellow professional, particularly that fellow professional was himself. But comics, now you're with it. You've seen the lists and the ads in collectors' magazines. At first he couldn't believe it. Little kids, 10 and 12 years old, paying $150 for some old Batman or Wonder Woman comic that sold for $10 when it first came out 30 years ago. It was big business, and getting bigger. It was a big business, but the merchandise was small, portable, easy to handle, and easy to dispose of with no way of tracing it, no questions asked. You could even peddle it by mail if you liked. One man could fill a station wagon with a load worth a fortune. Morgan had a station wagon. So there were no problems. But just to make sure, he checked everything out. It took him another week, cooped up in the crummy little motel with a red-jacketed yuck who came to this godforsaken wilderness for the fall hunting season, but he stuck it out. Eating in the fry joints, hanging around a barber shop, knocking off a few beers in the tavern, always keeping his ears open. He found out what he needed to know. Joe Satterley didn't hunt. Probably meant he couldn't handle a gun. Chances were he didn't even own one. And he wouldn't have any hunting dogs either. Or any dogs at all, which was important for obvious reasons. Another bit of good news turned up along the way. Old Satterley was deaf. He wore hearing aids. That wasn't much good either. When he came to town on Thursdays to stock up groceries for the week, he had trouble hearing the clerks. Morgan got that word from a conversation he eavesdropped on in the store itself, but he didn't stop there. He waited until Thursday afternoon and planted himself across the street to wait. And sure enough, along about 5 o'clock, this beat-up old Plymouth paddled into the parking space and the skinny, gray-haired digger climbed out. He wore a hearing aid all right, and when he headed into the store, Morgan knew he'd spotted the clown. Morgan noticed he had trouble lugging his grocery bags when he came out. That meant he was pretty feeble, and that was good, too. There'd be no trouble handling him. So when Satterley drove out of town, Morgan trailed him in the station wagon. He kept a good distance behind, but he followed him right to the dirt side road where the Plymouth turned off into the woods. Morgan didn't go after him. Instead, he drove on, checking the location of the nearest neighbors and discovering that the next farmhouse was almost a mile away. Just past it was the junction to the main highway. So the setup was perfect. And it was even more perfect by the time Friday night rolled around. Morgan checked out of the motel at noon, tipped the woman who did the cleaning, and made sure that both he and the motel clerk knew that he was anxious to get back to Duluth before dark. And then he cut out to the main highway, cruised 30 miles to a fly speck on the map called Purdy, and he took a room at the motel there. He timed the run at half an hour, and he had a sandwich and coffee for dinner. No point eating a heavy meal just before going to work, and waited around till 10 o'clock. Nobody noticed him pull out of the motel parking place, and he barreled back to the highway in plenty of time to get to Satterlee's place by 11 o'clock. It was exactly 11 o'clock when he turned the station wagon onto the dirt road. The night was dark, and there was a feel of rain in the air, which could be another break for Morgan. A good heavy fall rain would wash out the tire tracks. And since the old fellow wouldn't be expected to show up in town again until next Thursday, that gave him 6 days clear. Maybe no one would get around to missing him for another 4 or 5 days after that. And by then the local fuzz wouldn't even remember Morgan. With all these hunters coming in, he kept track. It was the kind of caper Morgan always dreamed about. Up in the old house, Joe Satterley was dreaming too. Sleeping in the big bed his parents occupied when he was a child. The bed he sometimes crawled into on Sunday mornings. Little Joey, snuggling up in the warm, comfy, cozy place between Mama and Papa, and Mama laughing. "Oh, Joey, not again. Please, please, Papa promised he'd read them to me." And Papa shaking his head but grinning as he reached for the papers, and he'd say, "All right, which one you want first?" "Hairbrush Harry, Papa." And the bright pages of the funny papers unfurling across the bed, crispy, crinkly, smelling of ink, rattling and rustling. Something was rattling and rustling now. He awakened in darkness, and he wasn't Joey anymore. He was Joe. It was half a century later, and he couldn't hear clearly, and he couldn't see at all, but there was something. Satterley fumbled on the nightstand for his hearing aid. Then he threw back the covers and swung his feet to the floor. He fitted them into his slippers and stood up, moving towards the light switch near the door. Before he reached it, the beam of a flashlight steered across his eyes, and a voice buzzed in his ears. "All right, don't move." Satterley didn't move. He stood stock still, staring at the burly man holding the flashlight. Who was he? Why was he scowling so? He didn't ask the questions aloud. If he had, Morgan wouldn't have answered him, because Morgan was uptight. It was all going according to plan, and there were no hitches anywhere along the line. No dog, no trouble forcing the door downstairs, no trouble finding his way here to the bedroom, and sure as hell no trouble with his old fuss and the nightgown. And nightgown, for Christ's sake, who wears them nowadays? Maybe that's what was bugging him. This wasn't nowadays. This house, the damned furniture downstairs, like something out of a Sears Roebuck catalog for 1920. The drapes and the rugs all moldy and everything smelling the way it did, musty and old and dark as a tomb. Morgan wanted no part of this place, and the sooner he could split, the better. So it was time to pop the question. Where are they? The old jerk blinked at him as if he hadn't heard. Morgan gave him a swipe across the side of his forehead with a heavy flashlight. He repeated, "Where are they?" And this time he got complete attention.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, that looks okay.
Satterley's mouth dropped.
That looks A-okay.
He looked like a little kid. His lower lip.
That looks way better than what I had originally. So,
Then Morgan lifted the flashlight again.
I've still got some work to do, just clean it up right there. But I think that's good. Now, off to the next one.
Let's go. What do you? Morgan potted him in the ribs with a flashlight.
Come on.
Shut up fast. He turned and shuffled out of the bedroom and down the hall. Morgan was left behind him, fanning the flash beam over the floorboards and the steps to the attic stairway. The steps creaked loudly under their feet, and an answering echo came from above, but it didn't matter. There was no one else to hear. They were alone in the house, alone in the big beamed room with its steeply slanted roof, alone in the darkness. The beam of the flashlight sent shadows scurrying across the walls. Morgan saw the racks, row upon row of racks, the kind of thing he remembered seeing in the public library when he was a kid. Used them to store old newspapers or something. He prodded Satterley forward and turned the flashlight towards the nearest rack for a closer look. Then he shook his head. These were old newspapers. A whole damned attic filled with newspaper sheets, row on row of them, covered with cellophane and the cellophane covered with dust. Peering down, he rubbed his fingers across the surface of the sheet and the color leaked forth. Toonerville Folks, by Fontaine Fox, one of those Sunday funny papers. Morgan fanned the flashlight. Dumb Dora, Petey Dink, Foxy Grandpa. They were all funny papers. And he grabbed Satterley's arm. All right, where are you hiding the comics? Satterley gestured at the racks. These are the comics. Morgan twisted his arm. Not the newspapers. I mean the comic books. Books? I don't have any books. Morgan released his grip, staring at the rows of racks looming in the shadows. It was the truth, and he knew it. Satterley was too frightened to lie. There were no books. There were no books because in the days when the old man was a kid, these newspaper strips were the only comics. And that's what he'd collected. Lousy old newspapers, not worth a dime even to a goddamn junk dealer. No books. It was all for nothing. Something was building inside Morgan. Something that had to burst. And he reached out blindly and ripped the paper from its frame. Threading the cellophane covering and tossing it to the floor, he tore another free. He crumpled it. Please don't. But Morgan wasn't listening. Nobody listened. Nobody understood. These were all he had. His companions, his friends for 50 years. He'd preserved and protected them for their lifetimes. Destroying his collection was like destroying his life. Destroying his life. Satterley felt a tug at the side of his head as the angry man jerked the cord of his hearing aid. He saw the livid enraged face before him, saw the beefy hands rise, gripping the ends of the cord to whip it around his neck, and then he felt the agonizing pressure against his throat. And that, for Satterley, was all. But it wasn't all for Morgan. Only the rage died with his victim. Now he stood over the body in the darkness. The body crumpled on the floor like one of those old newspaper sheets. The attic was drafty, and the night wind whispered through the papers in their rack. The whispering wasn't real, of course, because there was no one here but himself. The real whispers would come later, when the body was discovered. Morgan knew how to prevent that. The newspapers were the answer. A heap of old newspapers and a match. He moved to the racks and started to tear the cellophane-covered sheets free with both hands. The paper rattled, and the wind rose all around him, making a rustling sound, a stirring sound, a whispering like the murmur of many voices. Cracked, brittle voices, angry voices, voices sounding from the shadows, shadows that suddenly rose and moved. Shadows do move, and when Morgan turned and saw them, he was not alarmed. But shadows have no substance. They do not creak. And now there was a creaking of floorboards from the racks in the far corner. Morgan started to glance in that direction, and as he did, he heard the attic door slam shut. Then he did panic for a moment until he realized it must be the work of the wind. He dropped the wadded newspapers he'd clenched in his fists and spread them across the floor. Whispers whirled and shadows slithered, but Morgan
Sup?
reaching for a match.
How are you, bored?
Couldn't ignore them any longer.
Having too much fun?
From the racks, the
How's everybody doing? I'm doing good. I'm just here working on a rat.
tall man in the top hat.
No one else is here except me. And Inner Joke was here for a minute. For a hot minute. He probably went to bed. It's just me. Just little old me. Oh, also need to save. I did this with it. Let's see.
Of a small, terrace-topped girl with eyes widened in despair, eyes that had no pupils.
Yeah.
She opened her mouth, and the whisper came forth, a dry,
Your monarch is in another castle.
something growled, something crouched.
Your monarch is in another castle.
Screamed once, and then the shadow was upon him. And the
So,
other shadows
this is what I did. This is what I did.
There was only
Yes,
silence.
this is what I did.
A silence lasted
This is what I did. I think it looks way better this way. This way looks way better.
The verdict of death.
I darkened it up, I took your advice, and it looks way better.
Morgan's corpse presented the
Why you little? Why you little? I humbly
cold
thank you
and
for
the
participating in this chat.
manuscript.
That's better. Good, 8-Ball.
Long
Yeah.
forgotten man breaks the magician.
Oh, yeah.
He will again.
It looks way better than it did.
Prince Valiant.
I gotta clean up some stuff, but
But there was no clue as to how.
I did a few
All
things.
he could think of was that
Yeah, it can be nice.
written
It's
out
so
of
nice
script.
sometimes.
But then they lacked Satterley's imagination.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's very weird that it's been there for that long and it's not. It's had multiple times when I'm like, man, does this April actually say anything fucking nice? I think the answer is no. I feel the answer is no.
Funny Farm.
Is a big old fat nope.
Series in Night Kills, stories of suspense and horror. A collection edited by Kirby McCauley and published by Avon Books. I'm Michael Hansen. Technical operation for this broadcast by Rich Brody.
Bruh.
Production of WHA Radio,
Oh, yeah.
University of Wisconsin.
Oh, love it. Let's see if I can find it. I guess I'll just. Oh, you having fun over there? Why won't you be normal? I've lost your post in the sun. Glad you're having lots of fun over there, my man. Yeah, there we are. There she is. Hacha. Where are you? Right here. And then bam. Or expand by 2. Remember to do that because if you don't, it won't get under the lines. Because that's such a pain in the ass. That's a huge pain in the ass.
Published by Dell.
Well, thank you for coming in, board. I do appreciate it. I hope I'm not Hope your night's going well.
And then they found me guilty, and then they pronounced me invisible for a span of 1 year.
I'm slightly tired, though. Wish I wasn't.
And they took me to a dark room.
Pain in the brass.
The courthouse to affix the mark.
Pain in the bras. It's absolutely going. Oh.
Two municipally paid
Well,
ruffians
that's
did the
good.
job. One flung me into a chair, and the other
I'm
lifted
very
the brand.
sleepy,
The slab-jawed ape told me
but
this
I
order
need to
to
get
bit.
stuff done, and I gotta
The brand
stop
was
complaining
actually
about it.
There was a moment of coolness, and that was all.
So I'm
And I
just gonna live in
happens now?
in Sleep
But
Town,
there was no
USA,
answer.
right over here,
The room without a word.
where I
The
am
door remained open.
Functioning.
I was free to leave,
but
or to
sleepy.
stay and rot as I chose. No one would speak to me or look at me more than once, long enough to see the sign on my forehead. I was invisible. Now, you must understand that
You
my
engage in a
invisibility was
short
strictly
but
metaphorical.
personally
had corporeal solidity.
meaningful conversation
People
with the
could
chap.
see me,
Accurate.
but they would not see me. An absurd punishment? Perhaps. But then the crime was a crime of coldness. Refusal to unburden himself for my fellow man. I was a four-time offender. The penalty for that was a year's invisibility. The complaint had been duly sworn, the trial held, the brands duly affixed. I was invisible. I went out into the world of warmth. They had already
No,
had the afternoon rain.
not really.
The streets of the
I
city
mean,
were dry.
other
and
than
there was the
nothing.
smell of growth
Why,
in the
what's up?
hanging garden.
Was I supposed to
Men and
talk
women
about
went
something?
their business.
I mean, if
I
you
walked
want to
in
talk
nothing,
about shit, we
but
can
they
talk
took no
about
notice of
shit.
me. The penalty for
I don't have
speaking
nothing to
invisible
talk
man
about,
is
except I've
invisibility.
got to
A
redo
month
some
to a year
panels
or
and
more,
stuff that
depending
I
on the
personally
seriousness of
would,
the offense.
I would
On this, the
feel
whole concept depends.
more
I wondered
comfortable with
how rigidly
redoing
the rule was observed.
on my comic,
I soon
but
found
that's
out.
about it.
I stepped into a lift shaft and let myself be spiraled up toward the nearest of the hanging gardens.
Ah,
It was
thank you,
11,
thank
the
you.
cactus
Thank you for
garden.
trying.
And those narrow,
I do
bizarre
appreciate it.
shapes suited
It's
my
very
narrative.
difficult with
I
one.
emerged on the landing stage and advanced toward the admissions counter.
I
by
understand
myself.
if it's
A
very
thank you
difficult
face,
to keep me
an
rolling
empty-eyed woman
when it's
sat
only
back at the
one.
counter. I laid down my coin, something like fright entered her eyes, quickly faded, and I said,
I mean, I do appreciate it, Board.
no answer.
You're nothing but
People were
a
queuing up
asset
behind
and a
me.
friend.
Others were jostling me out of the way, not a word of apology. I began to sense some of the meaning of my invisibility.
Don't want
They
to
were
talk about
literally
anything.
treating me as though they could not see me.
Can't think of
There are
anything.
countervailing advantages. I walked around behind the counter and helped myself to a token without paying for it.
I'm
Since I
not
was
worried about
invisible, I
that.
could not be stopped.
Just more so you can
trust
keep
the
going on your
token
art.
applied
Ah,
by the
gotcha, gotcha.
But the cacti
can't.
bored me.
I don't want you passing out
Inexplicable
into your
malaise took over
tablet
me,
and
I felt
saving
no
your
desire to
face.
stay. On my way out, I
I'm
pressed
not-
my finger against the
So
gun
what?
and
Oh,
and drew
I was
blood,
gonna ask you, which one do you think is better, the 22 or 16 inch?
but only to draw blood.
That's what I was gonna ask you.
I returned to my apartment. My books awaited me, but I felt no interest in them. I sprawled out on my narrow bed and activated the Energizer. to
Or
counteract
do
the
you
strange
even not,
glasses
or
that afflicted
have
me.
you not even
I
looked
thought
at
about
either
my
one and you're
invisibility.
just like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about?
Would not be
Yeah,
such a hard
tablet.
step, I told myself. I had never depended overly on other human beings. Indeed,
Well,
had I not been sentenced in the first place for my
Ah,
coldness toward my
well,
fellow creatures?
that's very
So what
unhelpful.
need did I have of them now?
So your answer
Listen,
is,
Norman.
I don't know. Figure it out.
I had a year's
Cool.
respite from work, after all. Invisible men did not work. How could they? Who would go to an invisible doctor
Right?
for a
Oh
consultation?
no, it's
Or
just
who
like
hired
I'm
an
like,
invisible
hey,
lawyer to represent
what's
them?
your thoughts
Or
on
get a
it?
document to
I don't
indicate
even
the
use
clerk
that
to
shit.
file.
Oh, good,
No work then. No
fun.
income, of course, either. But landlords did not take rent from
Damn
invisible
pixel
men.
artists.
Invisible
They're all the
men
same.
Went where they pleased.
Just use a
No
fucking
choice.
mouse, why don't
I
you?
just demonstrated that at the Hanging Gardens. Invisibility would be a great joke on society, I felt. They had sentenced me to nothing more dreadful than a year's lecture. I was certain I would enjoy it.
Well,
But
if I
he
can't
was
give an
taking
experienced
practical
answer, I
disadvantage
don't want to
when
mislead.
the first
No, I
nine
get it.
visibility
I
over the
get it.
city
But,
signs
like,
first time. I was
all
one of
right.
the most lavish
So
officers,
the
100
16
units
inch
near,
has
and that
over
completely
4,000
the presentation of the
reviews.
bill.
So it seems
Not
like
complaining. I never
it's
got through that.
reliable, it's cheap
I kept
enough
going
for
to the system
everybody, and it's
and to
something
help
that
myself
everybody
with
can
anything I pleased.
grab onto.
I could disrupt the workings of the restaurant, but I
Should I
decided
take a
against
quick
that.
look and say a thing?
Society had its ways of protecting itself against invisible ones.
Should you?
There could be no direct retaliation, of course, no intentional
Get bent.
offense, but,
Oh man,
well, who
that's
could say no
very
to a
rude.
best friend
How
who would
dare
scream
you,
no in the
Nightbot?
road when he hurled a pot of soda
How
and water towards
dare
the
you?
wall? Invisibility was invisibility, a two-edged sword.
It was a two-edged sword.
I ate at an automated
Go for the
restaurant
cheaper
nearby,
one.
and
Just
I took an
do the
autocrat
cheaper one and live with my
I
consequences.
kept
Okay,
that against my
all
face.
right.
I sensed that they
But I'm a
wouldn't forgive
stingy
me
bitch.
for a year ago.
Oh man.
Poorly.
For the longest time, I'm using this, which is an all-in-one cheap tablet.
I went for a long walk.
It's the cheaper one.
I'd heard all about the boys who enjoy running down those who carry the mark of invisibility on their foreheads. Again, there's no recourse.
But
no
I've
punishment
also
for them.
only had this
No
for half a
condition
year.
has little
It's
hazards
just
lying
that
against
it
them.
can't use
I walked the
Streamlabs
street, seeing
at
the
all.
throngs parted
There's
from their
no way to
like
use
their
Streamlabs on this
muscles
fucker.
themselves. They were well trained.
Boned,
My first fellow
if I want to do like a PNG tuber or something like that, like there's nothing I can fucking do.
His eyes met mine only for a moment, then he passed on. An invisible man snatched.
Oh yeah, it's 200 for sure. What's the price?
I was amused.
It's a $200 price
The
difference.
novelty of this way of life. No slight could hurt me. Not yet.
And
Late in the day, I
it
came
only
to
has
houses where
what,
working girls
400
themselves for a
reviews,
couple of small coins.
and then
Wickedly in
the other one has
The
4,000
attendant at the door gave me the
reviews.
flicker of a startled look. It was a
So
small
like,
but not
and
very
the
fascinating.
4,000 reviews is mostly positive.
Overpowering
That doesn't mean
smell of
anything.
soap and
Just
sweat.
because it has more reviews doesn't mean it's a better product.
I've had
It's
dark
just
rooms
that
where long rows
if
of
I
glass
get
boxes
stuck with a
and
shit
it occurred to
product,
me that I could
I
not be
already know
responsible for
that
the
they're going to
consequences.
look at it.
I didn't. Theft loses meaning when it becomes too easy, as the clever ones who devised.
Can you really afford the 200 difference?
I passed on into the back chambers
No,
and
I'd have to save up my money to do it. I've got my birthday money, and right now I could literally buy
a few smiles
the
returned their
the
backs,
cheaper one.
but they were careful
I
not
could
to show
just
any
save up
real
my money for one check and buy the cheaper one.
Stuttgart, and who knew, but he might be reported for taking
Like,
undue cognizance of
very
the existence of the
specifically,
invisible.
I could save up a small amount of money
Watched
and
by
buy
the
the cheaper
shade,
one,
nodding
and I would be just as happy.
listening to the display. Watch this vast mass of frail feminine flesh.
I mean,
My
that
reaction
also,
was one.
I've got to hook up my tablet, not my tablet, like a regular monitor to the goddamn to the hard drive and everything, just to make sure the goddamn thing works.
Boredom,
Cause
revulsion,
I've had it for a bit, but I've got to actually turn it the fuck on to find out if the damn thing actually functions correctly. If I don't have to add extra shit or buy more shit.
dreams that night. I ate alone.
They say it works, but you know, that was the last time they tested it.
Novelty of this punishment was soon lost.
Who knows if things fried or something like that. Right.
In the third week, I fell ill. It began with a high
Yeah,
fever and
better
pains
than
of
nothing
stomach
tablet.
and
Yeah,
the
so I can actually start.
allergy.
Because it seems like a lot of people will just check me out if I have a PNG tuber. Like if I'm a PNG tuber, Stop it.
Mark of invisibility stood out like a beacon in my pale forehead. For a long time, I lay on the tiled floor, limply absorbing the coolness of it. And then I thought, what if it's my appendix? That ridiculous, obsolete, obscure, prehistoric survival, inflamed and ready to burst. I needed a doctor. The phone was covered with dust. They had not bothered to disconnect it, but I had not called anyone since my arrest, and no one had dared call me. The penalty for knowingly telephoning an invisible man is invisibility. My friend, had stayed far away. I grasped the phone, drummed the panel, it lit up, and the directory
Come on now.
said,
Come on now.
Whom do you wish to speak, sir?
What's the gremlin that's happening?
I gasped.
Certainly, sir.
What's the gremlin?
Smug mechanical words. No way to pronounce the robot invisible, so it was free to talk to me. Then the screen glowed, and a doctorly voice said, well, what seems to be the problem? Stomach pain. I think it's maybe appendicitis. Well,
There's a gremlin in this goddamn version of goddamn Clip Studio. What the fuck is happening?
his eyes lit on my
What is it?
mark. The screen winked into blackness
Let's see.
as rapidly as though I had extended a leprous hand for him to kiss. My appendix did not rupture. I survived.
My appendix didn't rupture. It's such a miracle.
In conversation for a year. He can travel on automated cars and eat at automated restaurants.
It heard me talking
but
shit.
there are no automated doctors.
Yeah, I know. It heard me fucking talking shit. Ape all the gremlins. Na 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 na.
And so no doctor would treat me if I suffered. It was unfair. I cursed the devils who had invented my punishment. I faced each bleak dawn alone. As alone as Crusoe on his island, here in the midst of a city of 12
I might have to.
million souls.
I'd fix
How
the
can I
bug.
describe my shifts of
Gremlins.
before the
Na 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 na.
months. There were times when invisibility was
Na na
a
na na
joy.
na 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 na
In those
na.
paranoid moments, I gloried in my exemption from the rules that bound ordinary men. I stole. I entered small stores and seized the receipts while the cowering merchant feared to stop me lest in trying out he make himself liable to my
I love how
invisibility.
your creation
Known
is
to
just a
state to
little
reverse all
shit.
such losses,
Your
I
creation is so sassy.
I stole.
How could you even handle?
And the bathhouse never tempted me again, but I breached other sanctuaries. I entered hotels and walked down the corridors, opening doors at random.
How could you even handle that little shit?
Godlike, I observed all. I toughened. My disdain for society, the crime that had earned me invisibility in the first place.
Board Birdie versus
I stood in
CPU.
empty streets during the periods of rain and railed at the gleaming faces of the towering buildings on every side. Who needs you? I would roar. Not I. Who needs you in the slightest? I jeered and mocked and railed. It was a kind of insanity brought on, I suppose, by the loneliness. I entered theaters where the happy lotus eaters sat slumped in their massage chairs, transfixed by the glowing tried-in images. I capered down the aisles. No one grumbled at me. The luminescence of my forehead told them to keep their complaints to themselves, and they did. Those were the mad moments, the good moments, the moments when I towered 20 feet high and strode among the visible clods with contempt oozing from every pore. Those were insane moments, I admit that freely. A man who has been in the condition of involuntary invisibility for several months is not likely to be well balanced. Did I call them paranoid moments? Manic depressive might be more to the point. The pendulum swung dizzily. The days when I felt only contempt for the visible fools all around me, they were balanced by days when the isolation pressed intangibly on me. I would walk the endless streets, pass through the gleaming arcades, stare down at the highways with their streaking bullets of gay colors. Not even a beggar would come up to me. Did you know we had beggars in our shining century? Not till I was pronounced invisible did I know it. For then my long walks took me to the slums where the shine was worn thin and where the suffering, trouble-faced old men begged for small coins. No one begged for coins from me. Once the blind man came up to me. For the love of God,
Yes.
help me to buy new eyes from the eye bank. Those were the first direct words any human being had spoken to me in months. I started to reach into my tunic for money, planning to give him every unit on
But
my
I'm
blood.
glad
Why
you
not?
came over here,
Before
bored. I
I
do
could
appreciate it, man.
draw the money out.
I know you're
And I
trying to
connected
keep me
your
awake,
arm
but it's
touches
very
between us,
difficult.
like the whispered words,
It's so difficult.
"Invisible." And then the two of them scuttled away like frightened crabs, and I stood there stupidly holding my money. Not even the beggars, devils, to have invented this torment. So I softened again. My arrogance ebbed away. I was lonely now. Who could accuse me of coldness? I was spongy soft, pathetically eager for a word, a smile, clasping hands. It was the 6th month.
People, I am disappointed. Oh, moon, I have died. Oh, I planned to bring the world together and stir it into a giant melting pot with my dance. If only I had taught my new dance to someone. I have no idea what that's a reference to.
On one of my endless
Fuck.
walks, I encountered
Am I
another
confused
invisible,
by
no
that
more
one?
than the third or the fourth such creature I'd seen in my 6 months. As in the previous encounters, our eyes met, warily only for a moment. And then he dropped his to the pavement and he sidestepped me. He was a slim young man, no more than 40, with tousled brown hair and a narrow pinched face. He had a look of scholarship about him, and I wondered what he might have done to merit his punishment. I was seized with a desire to run after him and ask him and to learn his name and to talk to him, embrace him. All these things are forbidden to mankind. No one shall have any contact whatsoever with an invisible, not even a fellow invisible, especially not a fellow invisible. There is no wish on society's part to foster a secret bond of fellowship among its pariahs. I knew all this. I turned and followed him all the same. For 3 blocks, I moved along behind him, remaining 20 to 50 paces to the rear. Security robots seemed to be everywhere, their scanners quick to detect and track me, and I didn't dare make my move. Then he turned down a side
Big
street,
Boo Rat.
gray, dusty street 5 centuries old, and began to stroll with the ambling, going nowhere gait of the invisible. And I came up behind him. Please, I said softly. Please, no one will see us here. We can talk. My name is
I still love that one of the most
Horror.
arguably vile criminals to be set free upon the land wears the hero's clothes.
Go around me. I blocked him. Wait, don't be afraid,
Oh.
please. But he burst past me. I put my hand on his shoulder, and he
Oh.
broke free. Just a word.
Oh man,
I begged.
that's
Not even
dark.
Not even a hoarsely uttered, "Leave me
Wow.
alone." He sidestepped me and ran down the empty street, the steps diminishing from a clatter to a murmur as he reached the corner and rounded it. I looked after him, feeling a great loneliness well up in me. And then a fear.
Tingle is colored green like the fairy boy and secretly idolizes him.
I had seen him. That left me subject to punishment. An extension of my term of invisibility.
However, you find him full of skulls and set him free.
I was alone.
I mean, they've been there for a while. I'm thinking that he didn't do that. Knowing Tingle and his Rupee Land abilities, I'm sure that's not him. I'm sure that wasn't him. Then he goes back and has his enslaved cousins empowering a tower he constructed. Now that's true. He does do that.
That society was winning and I couldn't have that. The 8th month passed, the 9th, the 10th. The seasonal round had made nearly a complete turn. Spring had given way to a mild summer, summer to a crisp autumn, autumn to winter with its fortnightly snowfall still permitted for pathetically.
Poor Knuckle. Poor all of them.
Now.
I mean,
In the
true,
park, the
but
trees sprouted green
you
buds.
know, you don't.
To control people's separate
When your
feelings about
uncle
spectators.
gives you a loan,
Film was drawing
you
to
don't
the
take it.
In the final months of my invisibility, I
When
slipped
your
into a
crazed
frenzy.
uncle gives you a
My
loan,
mind
you
was
never
back
take
on
it.
its own resources, no longer cared to consider the implications of my condition. And I slid in a blurred haze from day to day. I read compulsively, but unselectively. Aristotle one day, the Bible the next, the handbook
Right.
of mechanics the next. I retained nothing. As I turned a fresh page, its predecessor slipped from my memory. I no longer bothered to enjoy the few advantages of invisibility, the voyeuristic thrills, the minute throb of power that comes from being able to commit any act with only limited fear of retaliation. I say limited because the passage of the Invisibility Act had not been accompanied by an act repealing human nature. Few men would not risk invisibility to protect their wives or children from an invisible one's molestation. No one would coolly allow an invisible to jab out his eyes. No one would tolerate an invisible invasion of his home. There were ways
There we
of
go.
coping with such infringements without appearing to
Hey, I
recognize
got a
the
picture
existence of
for you,
invisibility
Pops.
as mentioned
Where'd you
before.
get that? Right
Still,
down the
if it
road.
was possible to get away with a great deal.
Oh, fucking.
The
I
clown
love that.
Somewhere Dostoevsky is
Where did you
written,
find that?
without
Oh,
God,
great adventurer, where did you find that?
I can amend that. To the invisible man.
Wait,
all
seriously?
things
Like
are
right up there?
And
Well, why can't I fucking see it?
so it was.
What do you mean I'm not pure of heart? What are you fucking me? What are you trying to talk about?
To be
What are you
precise,
saying?
I wholly forgot that my term was due to end.
I'm Tingle.
On the day itself,
Cling
I was
Pop.
reading in my room, morosely turning page
I'm
after page
pure
in the
of heart.
found it had not chimed for a full year. I'd almost forgotten the meaning of the sound.
Now I love both Tingle games. I just feel like
Wordlessly, they broke the seal that held the
Rupee Land has no actual gameplay. Rupee Land is just
Hello, citizen.
kind of a point and click adventure game
I nodded.
that they slapped on mechanics to.
May 11th, 2105.
That's what I feel like that game is. And the sequel is literally a point and click adventure game. And it's a lot better. And it's just like you should just have been a point and click adventure game to begin with. Son of a bitch.
So I went with him. My forehead felt strangely naked now. When I glanced in the mirror,
Pure of heart.
I could see there was a
Heart
black
in
spot,
jars.
an emblem of
Rip.
They took me to a bar nearby and treated me to synthetic.
Well, you're
whiskey,
supposed to be,
raw,
aren't you supposed to be innocent of spirit and pure of heart?
stool clapped me on the
To be
shoulder
able
and
to
asked
see
me who I
fairies?
liked in tomorrow's jet races, and I had no idea, and I said so.
Point and click isn't dead. It's just out of content providers.
I'm sorry, I said. He's been away for a while.
Well, that's why we could be the first to begin it back again.
Unmistakable.
Hooray!
My forehead.
Hooray!
At the pale spot. He offered to buy me a drink too. I accepted, though I was already feeling the effects of the.
Look, I think Tingle is just misunderstood.
Visible. I did not
I
feel
also
another
think he's not
It might have been construed as the crime of coldness once again.
inconceivable.
5 years of invisibility.
But Board, you could start it. You could make point and click. Hey, listen.
Lame conversations to hold, shattered relationships to renew.
Close
I was
enough.
an exile in my own city for a year.
But yeah, no, you could.
It was not easy.
You could make your own point and click adventure
I was no
game.
longer the same
You've
author
got
of
the
which was
talent to
determined by
make
my
it.
conviction. I had learned humility.
You've got the talent to do all the stuff you need to
Now and
do.
then I noticed an invisible on the streets, of course. It was impossible to avoid them. But trained
Totally,
as
I gotta
was,
learn
I
how to
quickly
code
glanced
a
around
metric
my eyes
dick
had
ton.
become momentarily to rest themselves,
I guess
horror from
you've got the
another world.
talent. If you wanna,
It was
if
in
you
the
want
fourth
more
month
adventure
that I was
games, you
trained
gotta
in
make them.
invisibility that the ultimate
Man.
lesson of my sentence struck home well.
You
I
gotta
was in
show
the
that
vicinity of the city
there
of
is
power,
money in
having
them.
returned to my old job in the
And
dockyard
fuck,
for
there
the
may not be a
Brotherhood.
single goddamn dollar
I
in
worked
them.
for the day, and
But
was
it's something
walking toward
you
the pier
want,
when a
right?
hand emerged from the crowd and caught my arm. Please,
Manic
Please wait a
Mansion.
minute.
Probably
Yes,
not. I don't think I have.
Startled. In our city, strangers
Beneath
do not
a
talk.
Steel Sky. You should play that one.
So the
Okay.
gleaming emblem of invisibility on the man's forehead. Then
I will take your word for it.
the slim boy I had accosted more than half a year before in that deserted street. He had grown haggard. His eyes were
I
wide,
gotta buy you some games. No, I will just go online and I will grab them.
No deserted street. This was the most crowded square of the city.
Don't buy me games. Stop it. Beneath the Steel Sky is free. It's on GOG. Okay, yeah, I can pick that shit up. I just need to actually have a, it's 100% my style. What do you mean by that? Whoa. Hold up. Whoa. What do you mean by that? It's my style.
Miserable loneliness.
Like I have a style.
I took another step away from him. Coward, coward, talk to me. I dare you. Talk to me, coward. It was too much. I was touched. Sudden tears stung my eyes, and I turned to him, stretched out a hand to his.
Dude, there's some humor in that game. No, I mean, I expect it. That's the whole point of, like, games like that. I feel you'll enjoy it. Yeah. No, that's fine. No, I'm just being an ass to be an ass.
The security robot
Has nothing to do with, like, you're like, oh, you'll love it. It's like, what do you mean by that? Do you think I like certain games? You think I got a preference?
This time, but
Gaw.
for the crime of warmth. Perhaps they will find extenuating circumstances and release.
No.
Perhaps not. I do not care. If they condemn me, this time I will wear my
Come on.
invisibility like a shield
Come on.
of glory.
There we go. Alright. That's okay. I only lost a minute of work and not a hour of work because I put CMD and backspace. Yes, I did. We're talking about point and click. You enjoyed Sam Max. This is 100% going to be at home. Okay. All right. No, I'm just digging around, man. I'm just digging around, just saying shit to say shit.
Mindweb is a production of WHA Radio in Madison.
Let me take a drink of my sweet tea.
Extension.
So how many people do you think that weren't bots that you did ban? That's a question that I've had. I know you're real good at your job. It's just a question. Because my brain's like, hey, you know what? Let's hope he just banned bots. I'm pretty sure he did, but you know, there's always a possibility. Ah. You're like, I know this shit. I can see it. There's a few that are just like, you fucking bot, trying to trick people.
Welcome to a half hour of Mindweb. Short stories from the world of speculative.
You know how I know they're a bot? If they follow you and immediately unfollow you, that's a good indication that they're a fucking bot. Even if they talk in the chat for a second.
This is Michael Hansen with a Mindweb story that comes from the book World
It's not just a list. It's a list, and some are like I hate, and some and it's just like no you.
The Unremembered.
Oh, so it's just a bunch of fuckers.
Buttoned the auto chef and
Fun
turned to her
times.
husband, who was sitting near the picture window, gazing out over the levels.
There's been no bots I've seen
As
talking.
the meal rattled out onto the service table. Timothy
You've
Gregg
never
walked back
seen
to
a
his
bot
feet and
talk?
stretched his limbs,
You've
grunting
never
as he
seen a
said,
bot acknowledge
"Those
you
Forest got faster all
and
the
then
time. I just saw Ted
immediately
flying his feet across the
unfollows
level.
you?
Must have been doing all of 300. Beats me what these youngsters use for brains these days. They're
Like
speed mad.
immediately follows
He
you
sat
and then
down at the
unfollows
table
you.
and looked at the processed stew and at the price on the credit tag.
One of them crashed over on 10th last night. It killed 3 people and a Labrador dog. A lovely
There's
animal.
like
I saw its picture in the news.
PC data catcher
0.1 increase in the stew.
A0
This goes on, we'll be raiding our capital.
It's the rejuvenation clinic. They're costing more to run, I believe.
Oh, we mustn't knock them, must we? Where would we be without them?
Dust has closed Helen's eyes.
200 years dead. I sometimes wonder why we bother, though. She sat opposite him and unwrapped the ready buttered bread, arranging the pieces carefully on a plate.
You know why? One of them was here today.
He swallowed some of the food and looked uneasy. Here? You mean outside the flat?
I was going to have a chat with Mrs. James. She gets very lonely, you know, being on her own. Well, I opened the door and he was standing there. I felt as though I should know him, but I didn't. And then he gone. He was near the end of the corridor, walking away from me.
No time interval?
Oh, you know how it is. He was by the door, and then he wasn't. I've been trying to think ever since about what he looked like. But I can't.
I know. He looked like everyone you ever knew and nobody in particular.
Oh, yes, someone in particular, I think. But it was hazy.
They finished the meal in silence. and
Not
when she
used
pressed
to it.
the appropriate button. The center of the table, with the remnants of the meal, rolled silently back into the
Oh.
bowl and disappeared.
Alright, chat doesn't filter
He
that
turned in
way.
his chair and
I'm so
switched
used
on the
to
radio.
doing that
After idly watching
to
images
just
form on
even
the
have
mock
to
stage,
stay in
he
Discord.
switched off again and sat with his
You're
back
full of
to it. And then he looked
play,
at the
play,
early
play
sky
ball.
as
Hit
flare
that
up
thing.
over
Hell
Fort
yeah.
Capitol
Let's
and
play
East
ball.
Coast Club,
Exactly.
which was the highest they'd got. No washing up, no rattle of dishes, no smell of cooking. I've lived too long. She came and sat next to him, moving her chair through the floor slots.
Stu doesn't agree with you. Maybe you should have milk and bananas on odd days.
Not for me. You never see a real banana these days.
Play, play, play. Hit
They're
that
always
ball.
ready
Let's
skinned in one of those
play
cute little
ball.
plastic jackets. What was wrong with the original skin?
Bored
I'll tell
sometimes
you
it
what,
feels like you're a
they couldn't
bot.
charge it, that's why.
Sometimes
They're
there's no
prepackaged
reason
mad
it
these
feels like
days.
you're a bot.
Orange is peeled so you can see
And
the
then I'm
fruit
like,
all yellow
nah,
and slimy.
you're
And
not a
those
bot.
apples, some peel, some coarse, and some taste.
I'm
Or
like,
maybe you
bro,
want a fresh egg so you can go old
come on,
fashioned
man.
and actually beat
Stop
it up
acting
yourself
like
in your
bot.
milk. Well,
Am
the
I a
machine will humor
bot?
you if you press the right button.
No, you're not a
But what
bot.
do you get?
You'd be
You
a
get
very
the pale-
advanced
the
bot.
pale yellow
If
eggs
you
and
were a bot,
transparent little
you wouldn't be
doodah.
able to hear
It's
my
indecent.
voice
An
at
egg
all.
should be in a shell. She smiled at
Which
him
also brings up
indulgently and
another
switched
point,
off the
like,
table
we
light.
have never
It
voice
was
chat.
silly to waste credits. Timothy, it seemed, was in one of his grumbling moods.
That is another
These were
point
usually
that I
triggered
thought
off
of.
by
Was like, I
suggestions
have
covering
never
everything
heard
from food and
Board's
other government
voice,
shortcomings to the
and I have a
programs
very
on the video,
distinct
which you
version
never
of your
looked at
voice in
anyway.
my brain.
Perhaps you should have a talk with the hens. They could
I
be
have a
eating
very
plastic
distinct.
instead of grapes.
I have an idea of what you sound like.
Hens? Get up to date, woman. for heaven's
Purpley
sake.
Wolf.
You know what? I
Hello.
saw an egg production unit once. It's just
How
a
are
damn
you?
Great automated hell. There were 3,000 hens there, but you couldn't
Purpley
see a single
Wolf.
one. Not one. They were
How are
deep
you?
cloth
How's
and
every little
built-in
thing?
machines of
Having
flesh,
too good of a
just
day?
parts of a larger machine. and each one fed at
That's
precise
good.
intervals with measured quantities of food to the neck.
Yeah.
What does a hen
So what do
want
you?
with head or eye?
I'm doing good. I'm
Doesn't
just
need to
drawing
take
my
with
panels
either.
and stuff like
The
that.
soft eggs drop into neat little plastic
You
containers
will
which are
never
whisked
defy
away by
my
the belt to be sealed and
expectations,
stamped.
Board Birdie. You're
And the production
very
figures
specific.
decline for any unit
I know how
that is
you sound.
automatically
Don't worry. I
replaced.
know exactly
You
how
still
you
don't see
sound.
a hen. Just a metal
You
box
you
wired
you
in
won't
tubes,
defy
and inside is a
expectations. So
legless,
Purpley Wolf, hope
featherless,
you enjoy your
headless creature.
stay.
A
You
bit
know,
of
sit
equipment
back,
that wore
relax,
out.
enjoy,
So I don't like eggs
enjoy
without
your
the
stay.
shell.
Just chill out.
Making it up.
We are just
No one
two.
will
We are just a
She
lot
tried
of
to
chill
think when she had
people,
last
just
seen the
chilling
shell
out
egg, but
and
gave
hanging
it up.
out.
Something should be done about it.
That's up
My
to the
name's
youngsters.
Goat Chimera.
If they won't
I
do
draw
anything,
furry
they have
stuff
that
and
mindless look about them.
I draw
The
comic
young
book
always
stuff.
seem like that to the
So
old.
if you ever
All right, now you
wanted
see.
to,
Maybe they'll blow us all up and go off
How do you-
somewhere else to live on an
Great
acre of
Scott.
peace and a cow.
can you
By
describe how I
God, if
sound?
only I were
Uh,
young again. That's what I'd do. I'd blow it
You
so
sound a
high
little
it would
bit like
ring
an older
crack through
male.
people for 3 days solid. What
You
good are
sound
we
like
doing?
a bit like
What's the use of it
You've been missing attendances at the clinic. You shouldn't
who's that
do
actor?
You don't want to be like,
I don't want.
like you know.
You
One of
sound like
those.
what's his
No, I
face?
don't.
That
When I
plays
feel it
Sora
coming
from
on,
Kingdom
I'm going to
Hearts,
walk off the
but a
ledge.
little bit deeper.
She looked at him
Yeah,
a
I'm taking
trifle
my breakfast
anxiously.
while watching. I
The
love your
telltale
art.
signs of neglect
Oh,
were
you
there
draw
in the thin,
furries?
almost waxen
Do you
face,
have any
as though a warm
furries?
hand had been
Do
passed
you
over the
have?
image of a
So
man
you
away
draw
from his
art?
personality.
You really have to go to the vet very soon.
How
Tom.
long have you been doing
It must be
art?
3 years since you were there last.
5 years and some odd days. You could do with some treatment yourself.
Oh, I'm going this afternoon.
Forget it. I went along
Strange.
yesterday. The vets are closed for extensive alterations, or so the notice says.
We are very we love seeing other people's art. We love, you know, looking at other
That's just
people's
an
stuff.
excuse. It's all over
We
the city
love-
that the lunar strike
We
petered out.
we are not
Total
harsh
stock of
judges.
selenite could be heaped
We
on a
can
dinner
always
plate.
give
Process
criticism,
that,
but
and
if
you're
you
left
just
with
want us
maybe
to
a
look at it,
teaspoon of Catalyst
we can
49.
definitely just look at it.
Just about enough for 3 full treatments. I videoed the appointments bureau 6 times before I finally got through. I was told that they are only doing
I've been
emergencies,
doing
but my
this
name
since
would be
I was
placed on the
little.
priority list.
I've been
So
drawing
get
since
in
I
touch
was
with
little.
me in due course,
Uh,
I don't think.
I
It's my
picked
guess
it
that the
back up when I
emergencies
was
are really private
15
stockholders.
and never stopped.
He shifted his
Digital
position
art
so
is
that he
more of a
faced the
thing
video
that I've
and clasped
been
the
doing in my
flash
early
button.
20s,
A
and I'm
smooth-faced
31
announcer,
now.
little brush mustache was
So
halfway through
I've been
Madame
drawing
Unpleasant
for a
casualty.
little bit.
Timothy switched off.
Just a tiny bit of time.
50% up on last week, with the birth rate falling the way it is and the youngsters killing
Been
themselves
trying to
off
write
right now.
and
This
draw
will be
my
a
own
roller
comic
coaster
book
before
and
another century
trying to
passed.
write and draw a
Unless, of
few
course,
other
Professor
things.
Gorgon is successful with his
Just
artificial
keeping
womb.
active and stuff
In
like
case,
that
we
and
can
trying to
afford
get
have
into
an
the
race of
industry.
zombies to nod at. Those of us
So
who are
right now
left,
I'm
that
working
is.
on this.
With a bit of luck,
I've
we'll be
already
dead by then,
done
And
this
you
one.
Talk like that, Timothy.
Better that than being a kind of
And
race locked off from both life
then-
and death and existing
Oh
in some
goodness.
sort of
Clip
limbo.
Studio has to
I've been
save
thinking about it a
sometimes.
lot lately.
It's a big
There's
old
not
butt
much else to do,
sometimes.
is there, at our age? Anyway,
Thank
I've
you.
come up with a kind of
Thank
theory.
you so
He
much.
drew
I do
an
appreciate it.
imaginary line on the table with his forefinger.
If you
The
want to
light
show me
force
any of your
carrier
work,
wave.
I'd love to see
now
it.
we'll have some modulation. His finger traced this up and down and along the carrier wave. You know what that is?
And this
It's a
is
speech
what I
pattern wave.
recently did as
A
well.
word, a single word spoken by the Almighty. Timothy placed an imaginary dot near where he thought he'd drawn the line. A point of light. Mrs. Gregwald watched with a faint, puzzled frown. But the frown was for the closed rejuvenation clinics. Worrying
But yeah.
about this, she hardly heard what he was
If-
saying and wouldn't have understood anyway. He gave a quick side
Yeah,
glance to ensure
I
that
do
he
have a
had her
Discord.
attention, and then tapped the dot again.
Yeah,
light,
just tell me
which
when you're in
gradually
there and
upwards
I'll
forwards
let
as
you
the
in.
creature matures.
I gotta
The
let
whole
you
wave
in.
train feeds it at
I
first,
gotta grab the
and then
keys and
begins to
everything
miss the
from under the
shortages,
mat and
which is
everything.
when time seems to be growing faster and then faster. Still, as we grow older and older. When we are really old, only the longer peaks feed life into
Let's
us.
see.
Normally, Around this time, we'd be old and tottery and a fair target.
Just
for
let me know
everything
when
we
you're
took.
in, and I'll let you in.
A living
You gotta get the
write-off.
keys from under the mat and stuff like that.
Nowadays, however, the catalyst treatment can pull you back. But if after a great many years you stop the treatment, what happens? What happens is that you shoot up and away from the life
Let me
force
get the
modulation,
keys.
if you see
Let's
what
get
I
the-
mean,
let's
until
go
just
in
the
there
tip
and
of an
let's,
occasional peak
see.
fires your conscious mind, and then only the tip of an exceptionally
Let's
long
see.
peak.
Manage
Eventually,
user.
we don't know
Tab
when because
regular.
we don't
There
know
you
how long the
go.
longest peaks are. We should just fade into oblivion. As it is,
There
there's
you go,
a period when we
Purpley.
get just a
There you
straw in the
go.
great gaps
You
between
can
the
put it
longer
in
peaks.
whip, or you
And
can
during
put it
that
in
time, we aren't here at
comics.
all.
You can put it
We,
in
I mean they, of
regular
course.
art.
Those poor ghosts we see all around us these days and almost recognize.
I'm down
They
for
exist
any.
only in spasms,
I am a
and
fan
even
of
though
most
we may have
art.
known them, we find it impossible to recollect anything about them. Oh, they are never completely forgotten, just unremembered. They are beyond help. and too
Jesus, this
insubstantial
guy
even for
is
death
so
to claim.
droning. It's so bad.
You sound just like
It's
the man
very
on the
bad.
video. He was on last week sometime, and he was explaining it all with diagrams and things and squiggly little bits that didn't make any kind of sense at all. But he said that the apparitions, he called them that, he said the apparitions were increased, but not to be frightened because they were harmless.
Did he? I didn't see it, but I heard someone talking about it.
Undo.
And it set me thinking.
There was a haziness about him. He began to think of the dog that had been
Darn
killed in
it.
the crash, and wondered why she should be more concerned about an animal than the human beings
I
killed at the
see
same time.
you.
It was its
I
essential
see
innocence, of
you.
course. It wasn't in any way concerned with the mechanical muddle that man had gotten himself into.
Let's see if
She
you
looked
got
at the
any
empty
art
chair next to her,
posted.
and
I would
something
love to
flickered in
see
her
it.
mind.
Let's see.
Some vague memory that wouldn't reveal itself. It was almost as though someone should have been sitting there
Oh,
with her.
goodness.
Nonsense, of course, she told herself. There had never been anyone.
My
She got
goodness.
to her feet slowly, almost painfully.
Looks so
and looked
good.
out of the picture window. Just below, on the
Only
near
been doing
level,
this for
someone was
5
looking up at her.
years. It looks
She
so
wondered who it
good.
could be, and decided it looked like the man she had seen standing outside the door of the flat earlier that day. Then he was gone,
Yeah.
to reappear further down
For
the
5
level.
years, you're
It
doing
was
better
one
than
of
I am.
them, she thought, and felt
For
troubled.
5 years, you're doing
She
better
looked
than
around the
most
room,
people.
and a little frown creased her rapidly aging features. There seemed to be something.
I mean, you could ask
missing
Board.
somehow,
He knows
and
art.
She sighed.
He's a well-known art critic.
On level 17, East Block, where the flat building that housed the rejuvenation clinic was situated, there was a small crowd of people of both sexes assembled in a rough queue. Timothy Gregwald joined them.
What goes? Have they got the vat working?
Yeah.
The other man shook his head and told Timothy that they were issuing euthanasia.
He's a
advice.
well-known art critic.
So it had
He's
come
in
to that.
many a circle.
Timothy looked around at the busy levels, at the tall buildings, the cloud toppers creating the huge layered structures, and at the linking flyovers.
You
and
you
pedways,
better watch out for
bright
Board.
with the late spring sunshine.
He's well known
He
in the
watched
art
the hordes of
community
jets
as
and
being
hovercrafts
the
that
biggest
drifted
art
down
critic.
toward us, darting like dragonflies between the shining facade of glass and plasticry. And suddenly, for the first time in years, he realized, with a little tug at the heart, that it meant something to him. He didn't
I
want
like
to lose it.
appreciating art, okay?
Idiot, he thought.
No, it really
You
looks good.
sentimental old idiot. There's no room
As you
here
can
for
see,
you.
we have
Your
all
world is
levels
dead
of
and
art
buried.
in my
All this
Discord,
belongs
so
to the
don't
younger ones.
feel
God help
afraid,
them.
you know? Let
A young
yourself
couple
out.
passed,
Be
arms
yourself.
around each other, and
Have you
glancing
thought about
towards the
streaming
queue,
your
laughed
art?
loudly. The young man said something that Timothy took to be derisive, and they laughed again. But the oldsters queuing for death ignored them. They had passed the point of no return and felt themselves already dead. Timothy Gregwald turned on his heel and walked away. He felt that the important thing now was not to panic, and to try and preserve some semblance of human dignity.
He wasn't queuing
But my
for
internet
permission to
connection is
die.
too low.
If he
It's
reached the
terrible.
point where it was either that or worse, then he
No.
would do it in his own way and under his own
That's the
speed.
killer of many
Many
a streamer. Before they even stream, there's nothing they can do. They were doomed from the start. It was a rigged game from the start.
On a sudden impulse, he walked to the edge of the level and looked over the parapet.
Nope.
Here was a
That's
sheer
the two.
drop of nearly 1,000 feet. He put one leg over and sat on the smooth plascrete. And he tried to bring the other leg over.
Well,
to
my
the
internet
joint preparatory to
exists,
a plunge
so,
that would take him into an
you know,
abyss of
this
fear and
internet
pain.
has also gone out. But, you know, just do whatever. Whatever makes you happy,
Got the nerve.
you know.
A uniformed
I
patrolman
love
came over
seeing
to him
other
and
artists. I
resting
never
lightly
say
on his stun
I
gun.
never say never with a lot of
Not that
artists.
way, old-timer. It'd make
I
such
think
a
that,
mess.
you know, if
what's
it's
the
something you
problem
want to
anyway?
do
Credits
with
for
your
the
life
clinic?
and stuff like that.
Timothy brought his leg back over the parapet and stood up. Neither.
Ah, good.
Lack of guts.
Good.
away.
Well, that's good. At least you can watch my stream without many problems.
Hey, maybe you want to try
So what did you want to do with your art? Did you want to, you know, draw things for a major company? Is it just a personal thing of like, hey, I want to do this, and I really like it? I mean, everybody has their own reason for drawing.
Despite the government's massive welfare programs. The trouble was, Timothy reflected, that most of the money was being siphoned off and into the pockets of a rat pack of professional leeches and greedy entrepreneurs. Just the same, he decided, the drink might help with that. In an effort to combat alcoholism and its attendant ills, the authorities had opened a number of bars
It's red.
as an experiment.
It's quite red.
The idea was to wean the bulk of the addicts from the more lethal concoctions. Ironically, they had been taken up by the bored but respectable straight of society. And no
I'm already
member of
making
the submerged
commissions with it.
pants would have dared to show his nose
Since
on
I
the
love
others,
art,
even
it's
supposing
mostly
he
for
could
fun,
pay
not gonna
because
lie.
prices now demanded.
But if I can earn money, I'm not gonna say
Timothy
no.
called in at
Hey,
Randy's
it
bar,
seems like everybody's.
asked the local
That
barman
seems like
for a double
everybody's
scotch.
thing.
He drank this
YouTube, is
off
that
almost
you?
in a gulp, while the man
It
passed
is
his credit
quite
card to
fucking
the
red.
register
I
and
gotta
ordered
say,
another.
but don't worry.
The barman
Don't worry,
looked
I'm gonna
sympathetic.
change. I'm gonna change the
Well,
color.
She's shipping a load in any day now.
Yeah.
Shows.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I know you guys are worried. It's okay.
This morning. Oh, worried the hell
This is
about the same
goddamn
thing.
YouTube.
The
You are
clinic
fucking
shut down.
bright.
We must be your
I
only
see you.
customer.
I see you, you son
The
of a bitch.
barman took up a
You
spotless
SOB.
glass and polished it.
You little bastard.
Yeah,
You
it
little
brightens
rat
up towards
bastard.
evening. People calling in on their way home from business
There
mostly,
we
but later on we get crowded. I have to switch over to auto service. Can't cope with it on my own. You know, it makes me wonder sometimes what blessed use I am. The auto could handle it right through.
Hello.
This place
Hey, Raven.
Will you have one with me? No.
But yeah,
Thank you,
do
sir.
whatever you like.
The barman passed Timothy's
I'm not
card
worried
to the
that
register
radio's
again
the-
and transferred the drink price to his tip credit. Then he poured a double whiskey for his customer and ginger ale for himself out of a
Yeah,
smaller
we're just
bottle.
chilling out here. Purpley Wolf
good
is
health,
chilling
sir.
out with us.
And here's to the clinic
We're just
opening
glad
again shortly.
that they came in
They
and
drank to that.
just wanted to chill out with us. How's your trip going? Hope it's going well.
Human touch.
Hope everything's going well on the trip. Hope nothing crazy has happened just yet.
able to. Oh, look, any day now they'll be shipping it in. You see if they don't.
Yeah, like that. Look at that.
Mines are worked out. They were just pockets anyway. The only deliveries are still going through are from private stockpiles.
The barman nodded and began to polish the same glass all over again. You tumble to it. Man, I hear a lot in this bar.
Trip is going
People
great.
forget you're around when they've
He
had
was
a few,
surprised
you
I
know?
came
That's
by
what
and
it
we've
is. They're
enjoyed time
swinging
together.
in the private stuff
Yay!
because that's all there is.
Yeah, lots
These
of cuddles and
characters were allowed to
snuggles.
buy themselves
Aww.
in to ease government expenditure, and They were
Adorable.
able to stockpile about 20% of the raw selenite.
Oh my goodness.
On top of
Raven
that,
is
they
too
took 10%
adorable.
of Earth deliveries
We
in lieu
can't
of credit
handle
for
it.
their own stock.
Now, these
Raven,
boys
you
are
get
the only
adorable
ones with
points
any
for being
selenite.
so gosh darn
Only
adorable.
they're not selling. They're keeping it for their old age and
so
their
cute.
children's old age, if they have any children. Yeah, that's it. But what can you do about it? Get drunk, maybe.
Yeah,
That's about
I'll
all.
do.
The barman put the glass under the counter somewhere. Well, what about a massive dose of anabolic steroids? I've heard they're treating some people with that and a few other drugs. They used to get some pretty spectacular results with those things a few years ago. I'm past that. Long past it. Timothy drank the rest of the whiskey and slid the glass across the counter.
Oh
The
my
barman
goodness.
looked at him pityingly. As he moved away, the room shifted slightly, and he was
But I'm
outside
glad you
without
came by,
knowing
Purpley
how he got
Wolf.
there.
Thank you for even
Just
spending
missed
a
a couple
little
of
bit of
roasties.
time with us.
No need to get panicky, though.
Just wanted to let you know that you're amazing and awesome and
Timothy saw the same
stupendous.
patrolman approaching
We both
him.
woke in the
He
night, and
turned
I
and
asked if I
walked
could
the
sit
other
up
way.
against the wall, his head
He
at
was
my
staggering
chest,
a bit because
and
of
I
the
think we
unaccustomed
ended up
drinking
spending
bout.
2 hours'
Looking
time just
back, he
laying,
saw that the
holding and
patrolman had
caressing,
stopped to watch the
massaging his
cab,
head, neck,
which
and
was coming
shoulders,
down
pure
Crooked
relax.
Parkway.
Aww,
He moved off purposely towards it.
just
and
so
Timothy
sweet.
began to run towards the edge
Just
of the level.
so sweet.
Without any hesitation this time, he threw himself over the low parapet and fell, turning over and over to a projecting lower level. Then, miraculously, he was walking away, unhurt.
No problem.
It had
It's a
happened
pleasure.
after all,
It's
He had
you, the
just
awesome
been
guy
too late.
here. Aw,
and he was
Thank
between
you.
the peaks,
he's had too
A
much
reluctant,
stress lately. I help.
immortal. He
Aw,
felt the hard laughter
I know.
inside
It's
him.
so adorable.
Nothing could kill
I'm
him now.
jealous. This is just
After
jealousy
this,
over
he
here.
just seemed to wander about in the soundless world, which came to noisy life. with
Yeah,
occasional
bored
bursts when he hit
birdie.
an exceptionally long
Purpley
beat.
is a
He had
new
sense
one,
of
but pretty
timelessness and was
nice.
conscious of being
Thank you for being
everywhere at
here,
once.
Purpley.
Outside the rejuvenation clinics, looking up at his apartment, gazing at
Aw.
strange people whom he felt he should know, and seeing only
All the
vague
awesome.
recognition
Yes,
mixed with
I know.
fear in
It
their
is
faces.
just all the awesome.
Walking along all the levels, standing in all the bars,
Just,
and peering at everyone
you
from
know,
everywhere in the
just
city.
enough.
This awful ubiquity filled him with black horror. Sometimes,
So this is the
sometimes
YouTube
he was
panel.
aware of being outside the
So,
solar
let's
system
see.
altogether, journeying through the galaxy with the ice-cold radiance of the unblinking stars as
I
only
mean,
company.
I think
And this was
Purpley
worse.
Wolf is new.
His
I
personality was
think.
reduced to shards
I can't
and then to
really tell.
dust, and the dust
There's so
scattered
many
over the
people.
cosmic wastes and along the
There's
star
so many
trail.
people. There's so many wonderful
He saw
people.
the myriad planets
Sometimes
teeming
I'm
with
just
strange
like, what?
life forms,
I just,
experienced
I
the
don't even
impact
know
of
if-
a million alien
How-
cultures
I don't want to be rude.
in every part of him.
If Purpley Wolf is
The
new,
last
that's fine.
enemy
If
was not
Purpley,
that which he had
yeah.
expected.
See,
It was an
Thank you,
awareness
Purpley
of the
Wolf.
white-hot hate of truth.
thank you.
Not man's truth, but the truth that was the original chaos. The truth that he had always rejected with all of his being. For man had risen above this, molding it to his own image, and burying in his subconscious what wouldn't fit. Suddenly, and quite without warning, he beheld the real. It was like the lifting of a third curtain, the truth behind the truth behind the truth. The glimpse that he had
You'll like
was
be
of pure
wonderful
beauty,
fit in.
terrible to
Yeah.
behold.
Just
He
enjoy
fled across
yourself.
the galaxy,
Sit back,
and with
relax, and
each
you know, just
screaming
enjoy
mote of his
yourself.
being prayed that it would end. Nothing now to be added or taken away.
That's the
O
biggest
Lord,
thing
we
about
pray
my
except
channel is just,
awareness.
you know,
Let me not
I
be
would love to
forever
see you more,
and
but if it,
forever.
you know, if you gotta go, I understand. Look, I don't expect everybody to stay here 24/7. I know they got lives to live and wonderful things to do. I want them to be the happiest they could ever be. Ah.
yet somehow it was
Think I'm gonna
born
hop in
upon
a
him
shower. I can
that
barely
it could
stand my
not
own set.
end like
Oh
this.
no!
It was the final
Stinky
disintegration
Raven.
before the ultimate
Oh no!
integration.
That's so
Gradually, as the realization
Raven.
came, the fear went, and then he knew. He was an integral part of a multi-dimensional pattern, a part of everyone who had gone before and who would come after, before man even, and after man.
Oh
That
no!
terrifying liquidity, fading now that he had become orientated to something greater than self, was a manifestation of the many facets of that part of the
I know,
universal mind
bad, very
that he had
bad.
occupied as
I
an
get
entity
no points for
and
that.
enclosed.
I actively lose points.
After the first death, there can be no other. Only the scattered light returning to its source. He felt a drawing
I'm gonna
in
stay
of
longer.
his fragmented
I'm gonna stay longer
personality,
than I thought.
and he was
It's nice
content.
here, and I want to draw the
Somewhere
two
at
now.
the center of
Yeah.
this spiritual lodestone,
Just
serene
chill out,
and
hang
ineffable,
out,
would be
spend
the
time
Word
with us.
before it was made flesh. The healing word
Just enjoy
world's
your
end.
time with us.
and a new beginning.
We're all good here. Oh no, stinky Raven. It's alright, Raven. You'll get there. One day you'll have a shower and you'll feel better. Yeah. But we love hearing about. You have a dream? Alright. Tell us about the dream. And that dream is to take a shower? Is. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Oh, we have fun here.
You've heard the unremembered
Oh, man.
story by Edward
I
Mackey.
love that
A
comedian.
work that appears in the book World's Best Science Fiction, 1965.
This-
A collection edited by
This
Donovan
this
Wilhelm.
stream, it's like
Great talk.
McDonald's.
This is Michael Hansen. Reading with me were Jay Fitz and Harvey Black. Technical operations for this broadcast.
This stream
by
is
Mary
like
Kay Payne.
McDonald's.
Mindwebs is a production of WHA
Ford, do you know
Radio
why
in
it's like
Madison,
McDonald's?
a service of University of Wisconsin Extension.
Well, the stream, that's probably as close as I could get to being nice, yeah. The stream is like McDonald's because I'm loving it. Haven. Haven's so sweet. How have you been?
Welcome to
Have
half
you
hour of Mindwebs.
been?
Short stories
God
from the
damn it.
worlds of
Fucking-
speculative fiction. This half hour begins with something by Arthur C. Clarke from his book, The Other Side of the Sky. This is The Star.
Oh my gosh. Everybody is just so sweet. Yeah, my chat. Alright, no, you're fine. You gotta be up. You gotta be up tomorrow. It's a Monday tomorrow, isn't it? You gotta be up tomorrow. Yeah, go get that shower. Go get that shower. Get it off. Get the stink off.
It's 3,000 light years to the Vatican. Once I believed that space could have no power over faith, just as I believed that the heavens declared the glory of God's handiwork. Now I have seen that handiwork, and my faith is sorely troubled. I stare at the
What?
crucifix that hangs on the
April,
cabin
do
wall
I gotta
above Mark 6
be up
computer.
tomorrow?
And for the first time
Don't
in my
believe
life,
in
I
yourself,
wonder if
believe
it
in
is
me. Who
no
believes
more
in you?
than an empty
Well, shit.
symbol. I've told no one yet, but the truth cannot be
Well,
concealed.
no, it's just
The facts are there for all to read, recorded on the
damn
countless miles of magnetic
Piss.
tape from the thousands of photographs that we're
I thought.
carrying back to Earth. Other scientists can interpret them as easily as I can, and I'm not one who would condone that tampering with the truth which often gave my order a bad name in the olden days. The crew are already sufficiently depressed.
I don't know what the fuck was happening.
Irony.
It wouldn't pick the color at
Few
all.
of them have any religious faith, yet they will not relish using this final weapon in their campaign against me, that private, good-natured, but fundamentally serious war which lasted all the way from Earth. It amused them to have a Jesuit as chief astrophysicist. Dr. Chandler, for instance, could never get over it. Why are medical men such notorious atheists? Sometimes he'd meet me on the observation deck where the lights are always low.
8-Ball has decided. Oh, by the way, if you want to have fun purpley, we have a bot called 8-Ball in the chat, and it's very funny. It makes very funny stuff.
And he'd say at last something like, "Well, Father, it goes on forever and ever, and perhaps something made it, but how can you believe that
I hope your
something
drawing
has a
goes
special
well.
interest in us, in our miserable little world? That just beats me."
Yeah.
Then the argument would
We
start.
can but
All
only
the
hope,
stars and
Birdie.
nebulae would swing around us in silent
Yeah.
beyond the flawlessly
You
clear
can use it if
plastic
you
of the
want.
observation
It's a
port.
very silly bot.
It was, I think, the apparent incongruity of my position that caused most amusement to the crew. In vain, I'd point to my 3 papers in the Astrophysical Journal, my 5 in the monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society. I'd remind them that my order has long been famous for its scientific works. We may be few now, but ever since the 18th century, we've made contributions to astronomy and geophysics out of all proportion to our numbers. Will my report on the Phoenix Nebula end our 1,000 years of history? It'll end, I fear, much more than that. I do not know who gave the nebula its name, which seems to me a very bad one. If it contains a prophecy, it's one that cannot be verified for several billion years. Even the word nebula is misleading. This is a far smaller object than those stupendous clouds of mist, the stuff of unborn stars that are scattered throughout the length of the Milky Way. On the cosmic scale, indeed, the Phoenix Nebula is a tiny thing, a tenuous
For a
shell
slightly
of gas
richer
surrounding a
chocolate
single
cake,
star.
try adding an
Or
extra
what
egg,
is left of a
substituting
star.
oil for melted butter, and
The
adding
Rubens
1
engraving
teaspoon
of
very
Florell
finely
seemed
ground
to
black
mock me
pepper.
as it hangs there above the spectrophotometer tracings. What would you, Father, have made of this knowledge that has come into my keeping so far from the little world that was all the universe you knew? Would your faith have risen to the challenge as mine has failed to
Oh
do?
my goodness.
You gaze into the distance, Father, but I have traveled a distance beyond any that you could have imagined.
Nice try.
when you founded our
Nice,
order
I'll try
1,000
next
years
time.
ago. No other survey
Thanks,
ship
Mom.
has been so far from Earth.
We appreciate you,
We
Mom
are
Bot.
at the very frontiers of the explored universe.
Mom Bot,
We set out
she
to reach
tries
the
to give
Phoenix Nebula.
advice.
We succeeded.
It's not perfect.
And we are homeward bound with our burden of knowledge. I wish I could lift that burden from my shoulders, but I
If
call
you're
to you in
unsure,
vain
you can
across
always
the
try
centuries and the
half a
light years
teaspoon black pepper.
that lie between
The
us.
key is fine
On the book
ground.
you are holding, the words are plain to read. Ad Maiorum, de Gloriam. The message runs.
Baking facts.
But it is a message I can no longer believe. Would you still believe it if you could see what we have found? We knew, of course, what
That's
the
fine.
Phoenix Nebula was.
I wasn't bothered by it.
Every year in our galaxy alone, more than 100 stars explode, blazing for a few hours or days with thousands of times their normal brilliance before they sink back into death and obscurity. Such are the ordinary novae, the commonplace disasters of the universe. I've recorded the spectrograms and light curves of dozens since I started working at the Lunar Observatory. But 3 or 4 times in every 1,000 years occurs
Oh, I
something
forgot to say,
beside
sorry
which
if my
even
English
a
isn't
nova
clear.
fails
Sometimes I'm
into
French.
total insignificance.
Ah,
When a star becomes a supernova,
that's fine.
it
I'm
may
not
for a
going to
little
speak
while
horrible
outshine
French at you.
all the masked suns
Are
of
you
the
French
galaxy.
Canadian or just French?
The Chinese astronomers watched this happen.
It's fine if you're
in
either.
AD
I don't care.
1054, not knowing
That
what
will
it
not
was they
change my
saw.
opinion of you.
5
I
centuries
will
later,
think
in
it's fine
1572,
either
a
way.
supernova blazed in Cassiopeia so brilliantly that it was visible in the daylight sky.
Just French.
There have been 3 more in the
Ah.
1,000 years that have passed.
One of
since then.
those.
Our mission was to visit the remnants of such a catastrophe.
Ours
to
is never
reconstruct
clear,
the events
and
that led
we're
up to it,
English.
and if possible, to learn its cause. We came slowly in through the concentric shells of gas that had been blasted out 6,000 years before, yet were expanding still. They were immensely hot, radiating even now with a fierce violet light, but were far too tenuous to do us any damage. When the star had exploded, its outer layers had been driven upward with such speed that they had escaped completely from its gravitational field. Now they formed a hollow shell large enough to engulf 1,000 solar systems.
I hope this radio
That star
program
burned
is
a
not
tiny,
completely
fantastic
confusing
object,
you
which
then.
The star had now become a white dwarf.
Sometimes I
smaller than
barely
the
can
Earth,
speak
yet weighing
English.
1,000,000 times as much. The glowing gas shells were all around
Oh
us,
man,
banishing the normal
bored.
night of
You and me
interstellar
flipping
space.
both.
We were flying into the center of a cosmic bomb that had detonated millennia ago. and whose
But I'm
impact
glad
was
that you came
still
over to the
pulling us
English
apart.
speakers.
The immense
I'm glad you
scale
gave
of the
us a
explosion
chance to
and
just
the
chill
fact that
out
the
and
debris
hang out
already
with
covered
each
a
other.
volume of space many billions of miles
That's what I
across,
hope to do, is
robbed
that
us of any
I make
visible
an
movement.
international
It would take
peace.
decades before the unaided
Just
eye
with
could detect any
my
motion in
art
these
and my
tortured
love of
wisps and eddies
drawing.
of gas. Yet the sense of turbulent expansion was
That's my English.
overwhelming. We had checked
Oh
our
my
friendly
God.
5 hours before, and
As
were
long as
drifting
I
slowly
understand
toward the
all
first
of
little
you
star
and you
ahead.
too. And no,
Once
I
it had
can
been a sun
understand,
like
so
our
it's
own,
alright.
But it had
Yeah.
squandered in a few hours the energy that should have kept it shining
Oh
for a
my
million
goodness, bored.
years. Now
What
it
did
was
you
a
do
shrunken
to
miser
Nightbot?
hoarding its resources, as if trying to make amends for its prodigal youth.
Hin
No one
hoke
seriously expected to
vos
find planets.
quad.
If there had been any before the
he-
explosion, they would have been boiled into puffs.
I don't
of
even know if
vapor
I'm
in their
supposed to
substance,
speak it
lost in the greater
backwards or
wreckage of the star
forwards.
itself. But we
Oh,
made the automatic search
yeah.
as we always do when approaching an
We're
unknown
very
sun.
chill.
And
Oh,
presently
it's
we
Klingon.
found a
Oh,
single
good.
small
Thank
world
God.
circling
I
the
was
star
getting
at
confused.
an
I was
immense
like,
distance.
what the fuck is...
It must have been the Pluto of
What
this
is he
vanished
trying to
solar
say?
system, orbiting on the frontiers of the night. Too far
Also,
from
I
the
curse a
central
little.
sun ever to have known life. Its remoteness had saved it from the fate
Also,
of
I curse
all its
just
lost
a little.
companions. The passing fires
If
had
that does
seared
bother
its
you, I
rocks
do
and burned away the
apologize.
mantle of frozen gas that must have covered it in the days before the disaster. We landed. We found the vault. Its builders had made sure that we should. The monolithic marker that stood above the entrance was now a fused stump. But even the first long-range photographs told us that here was the work of intelligence. A little later, we detected the continent-wide pattern of radioactivity that had been buried in the rock. Even if the pylon above the vault had been destroyed, this would have
I'm
remained
trying to be nice to all the users. I don't want to scare people off. I don't want people to immediately be like, this guy?
The pylon
It's
must
like,
have been a mile
no.
high when it was built.
I was
but
just
now it
trying to
looked
make
like a candle that
funnies.
had melted down into a puddle of wax.
Funny joke.
It took us a week to drill through the fused rock, since we did not have the proper tools for a task like this. We were astronomers, not archaeologists, but we could improvise. Our original purpose was forgotten. This lonely monument, reared with such labor at the greatest possible distance from the doomed sun, could have only one meaning.
Oh, my son's
A
watching, and you
civilization
swear
that
he
knew it
starts
was
giggling
about
and
to
goes,
die and made
goes
its last
swear.
bid for immortality. It would take us
Uh,
generations to examine all the treasures that were placed in the vault. They had plenty of time to prepare. For
Oh
their
my
son
goodness.
must have given its first
Also,
warning many years before the final detonation.
also, you're the best
Everything
mom.
They wished to preserve all
You're
the
so
fruit of their
sweet.
genius,
You're
they
better than
brought here
Mombot.
to this distant world in the days before the end, hoping that some other race would find it and that they would not be utterly forgotten. Would we have done as well, or would we have been too lost in our own misery to give thought to a future we could never see or share? If only they had had a little more time. They could travel freely enough between the planets of their own sun, but they had not yet learned to cross the interstellar gulf.
To be effing honest, they'll learn it sooner or later. I learned it from my parents in the worst ways sometimes. Yeah, I mean, kids learn curse words eventually.
Even if they had not been so disturbingly human as their sculpture shows, we could not have helped admiring them and grieving for their fate. They left thousands of visual records and the machines for projecting them together with elaborate pictorial instructions from which it will not be difficult to learn their written language. We have examined many of these records and brought to life for the first time in 6,000 years the warmth and beauty of a civilization that in many ways must have been superior to our own. Perhaps they only showed us the best, and one can hardly blame them. But their worlds were very lovely, and their cities were built with a grace that matches anything of man's. We have watched them at work and play, and listened to their musical speech sounding across the centuries. One scene is still before my eyes, a group of children on a beach.
How do you get a D&D player to get out, to go out with you? You ask them for a D8.
Like trees line the shore, and some very large animal is waiting in the shallows.
Thanks, Dad.
Attracting no
Yeah, his dad's family swears all the time, so
into
you're
the
used to
sea,
it.
still
Okay.
warm and friendly and
Alright, I just wanted to make sure. But you're the mom. You know, you already know.
If we had not been so far from home and so vulnerable to loneliness, we should not have been so deeply moved. Many of us had seen the ruins of ancient civilizations on other worlds, but they had never affected us so profoundly. This tragedy was unique. It's one thing for a race to fail and die, as nations and cultures have done on Earth, but to be destroyed so completely in the full flower of its achievement, leaving no survivors, how could that be reconciled with the mercy of God? My colleagues have asked me that, and I have given what answers I can. Perhaps you could have done better, Father, but I have found nothing in the Exercitia Spiritualia that helps me here. They were not an evil people. I do not know what gods they worshipped, if indeed they worshipped any. But I have looked back at them across the centuries and have watched while the loveliness they used their last strength to preserve was brought forth again into the light of their shrunken sun. They could have taught us much. Why were they destroyed? I know the answers that my colleagues will give when they get back to Earth. They will say that the universe has no purpose and no plan, and that since 100 suns explode every year in our galaxy, at this very moment some race is dying in the depths of space. Whether that race has done good or evil during its lifetime will make no difference in the end. There is no divine justice, for there is no God. Yet, of course, what we have seen proves nothing of the sort. Anyone who argues thus is being swayed by emotion, not logic. God has no need to justify his actions to man. He who built the universe can destroy it when he chooses. It is arrogance. It is perilously near blasphemy for us to say what he may or may not do. This I could have accepted, hard though it is to look upon whole worlds and peoples thrown into the furnace, but there comes a point when even the deepest faith must falter, and now as I look at the calculations lying before me, I know I have reached that point at last. We could not tell before we reached the nebula how long ago the explosion took place. Now, from the astronomical evidence in the record in the rocks of that one surviving planet, I have been able to date it very exactly. I know in what year the light of this colossal conflagration reached our Earth. I know how brilliantly the supernova whose corpse now dwindles behind our speeding ship once shone in terrestrial skies.
Fucking
I know how
deep.
it must have blazed.
Is this radio
low in
being
the east
swayed by
before
emotion?
sunrise
Sounds
like a
awfully
beacon in
certain.
Oriental
The
dawn.
only mercy you're
There can
getting
be
from
no
me.
reasonable doubt.
Sounds about
The
right to
ancient
me.
mystery is solved at last. Yet, oh God, there
Oh
were so
man.
many
No,
stars
this
he
guy
could have
is
used.
getting
What was the
way
need to
too
give these
deep.
people to the fire, that the symbol of their
But
passion
I guess
might
it's
shine above
okay. I
Bethlehem?
mean, it's a. I hope this is not literally going over everybody's head because, like, what he's talking about is
That's
very
titled
deep
The
and
Star.
philosophical, but
Comes
also
from
it's
the other
like
side of the sky. A
it's
collection
very
of
much
short
the
stories by
creator
Arthur C.
just
Clarke.
does not give two fucks about you is kind of like what it's saying. If you're whoa, deep, Nightbot, deep. But I do hope your son is enjoying himself. I hope he gets some good rest. I know school's probably coming up. You know. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see it. Let's see it. No, stop you. Oh my god. Oh my god. Ah, so he's already back to school. My god, Purpley, you're really gosh darn good. Darn. My goodness. You're really gosh darn good. I have to say. Yes, fabulous hair. Fabulous secret prizes were revealed to me when I held aloft my magic sword. I'm back and have survived the shower. You have survived the clutches of the Rick. She Purpley is showing it in the Discord. I will check when I have more than just my phone available. Yeah. Just a beautiful tone in general. I love church music. When you lose the whole point of the song and you just have the actual beat to it, the actual music to it, I mean, it's very pretty. It reminds me of all those late nights I used to go to the church and enjoy myself. When nobody else was there and it was just me hanging out in the church. is. Yes. Well, as someone who did have that as a lullaby, because the daycare I went to, Miss Cosby, she normally played stuff like this all the time. She was a sweet old lady
Now,
who
from
took
Ray
care of
Bradbury's
me.
book, A Medicine for Melancholy, this is The Gift. Tomorrow would be Christmas, and even while the three of them rode to the rocket port, the mother and father were worried. It was the boy's first flight into space, his very first time in a rocket, and they wanted everything
I remember
to be
this
perfect.
in Indiana
So when at
Jones
the customs
very
table, they were forced
specifically.
to leave behind his gift, which exceeded the weight limit by no more than a few ounces, and the little tree with the lovely white candles, they felt themselves deprived of the season and their love. The boy was waiting for them in the terminal room, walking toward him after their unsuccessful clash with the interplanetary officials. The father and mother whispered to each other.
Almost missing the time I sang a friend's baby to sleep for 2 weeks in a row.
Silly rules.
Aww.
Ah, yes. The siren gave a great howl, and people pressed forward into the Mars rocket. The mother and father walked at the very last, their small, pale son between them, silent. I'll think of something. And the rocket took off, and they were flung headlong into dark space. The rocket moved and left fire behind and left Earth behind, on which the date was December 24th, 2052, heading out into a place where there was no time at all, no month, no year, no hour.
Damn.
They slept away the rest of the first day. Near midnight by their Earth-time New York watches, the boy awoke and said,
I want to go look out the porthole.
there was only one port, a window of immensely thick glass of some size up on the next deck. Oh, not quite yet, my son. I'll take you up later.
I want to see where we
Whenever
are
she
and
didn't
where
want
we're
to go
going.
to rest, my
I
friend
want
would
you to
bring her
wait
over
for a
and ask me to
reason.
sing.
He had been lying
Now,
awake
I am
dreaming this way
terrified
and
of
that,
small
thinking
children
of
and
the
babies, so
abandoned gift,
I'm afraid I
the
killed
problem
them
of the season,
by
the
looking
lost
at them
tree,
wrong, so I
and the white
automatically
candle.
start to try and sing something
And at
soothing. It
last,
worked.
sitting up no more than 5 minutes ago, he
Why would
believed
you
he
think
had found a
that?
plan. He
I
need
mean,
only
it's
carry it
probably,
out, and his
there's
journey
probably a
would be
reason,
fine
and I'm not
joyous
going to
indeed.
force it. If you don't want to say,
Well,
it's
son,
all good.
in exactly 1/2 hour, it'll be Christmas.
Oh.
The mother, dismayed that he had mentioned it. Somehow she had rather hoped that the boy would forget. The boy's face grew feverish and his lips trembled.
I know. Will I get a present? Will I? Will I have a tree? You promised.
Yes, all that and more.
But-
I mean it. I really mean it. All and more. Much more. Now, excuse me. I'll be back soon. He left them for about 20 minutes. When he came back, he was smiling. Well, it's almost time.
Could I hold your watch, Dad?
The watch was handed over, and he held it ticking in his fingers as the rest of the hour drifted by in fire and silence. And
Be right back,
unfelt motion.
time to make breakfast.
Christmas
Make that
now.
breakfast.
Christmas. Where's my present?
Well, here we go.
Cutest thing too, my friend's
And the
older
father took his
kid,
boy
age
by the
10,
shoulder,
came
leading
after
from the
a
room
few
down the
days and
hall,
asked if
up
I'd
a
be willing
rampway,
to come and sing
his
at her
wife following.
bedside in the evenings too. Oh, I don't know why, I'm just super afraid to mess up with
Here we
small
are.
humans. I mean,
They had stopped
it
at the
is
closed door of
it
a large
is
cabin.
hard,
The father tapped 3
but
times,
you'd
and
be
then twice in
surprised.
code.
They're
The
more
door opened,
hardier than you
And the
think.
light in the cabin went out, and there was a whisper
They're not
of
as
voices.
they're not as
Go on in,
fragile as
son.
you believe.
I'll hold your hand. Come on, Mama. They stepped into the room.
Slowly
The door
but
shut,
surely,
and the
you'll
room
figure
was
that
very
out.
dark indeed.
Takes
And
time.
before them loomed a great glass eye, the porthole. A window 4 feet high
not-
and 6 feet wide.
They're not
from
as
which they could
fragile
look
as
out
you
into
think, and they're
space.
not as hardy
The
as
boy
you
gasped.
believe.
Behind him, the father and the mother gasped with him. And then in the dark room, some
I
people
remember when I was
began to sing.
5,
Merry Christmas,
and
son.
I
And the
had
voices in the room sang the old
I
familiar
was
carols.
going
And the
down
boy
this
moved forward
railing
slowly
that
until
was
his face
wooden.
was pressed against the cool glass of the port.
Ah,
And he stood there for
yeah,
a
in time you'll
long,
learn.
long time.
But I was going down this
just
wooden
looking and looking
wooden
out
thing,
into space.
and I
and the deep night,
rode my hand
and the
across
burning-
it,
and the burning
and
of
it
10
just-
billion.
I got a big splinter through my hand. Just, it went right through the skin of my hand. And I was just like, oh my gosh, ah. They called my dad to come. Okay. Alright. But they called my dad to come over and bring me to the hospital. And my dad took out his big old knife, cut my skin, and took out the splinter.
Speaking, reading with me.
The splinter was about as big as my palm at the time.
Technical production for MindWebs.
Which is probably half the size now.
MindWebs comes to you from WHA Radio in Madison.
But he just took it out, cut the skin, and then I just had weird floppy skin the rest of the time. Greenspans are interesting because they're still growing, but Body is very keen on just saying whatever long haul. There's so much you can casually learn. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's coming together, guys. And that means that we've got to do the shadows. Let's do the shadows now. Let's do the shadows now. What am I doing over here? I need to create this. And now, bam.
Welcome to a half hour of MindWebs. Short stories from the worlds of speculative fiction.
Let's create a gradient. And
This is
then
Michael
let's
Hansen.
go here.
The MindWeb story that we begin this half hour with comes from Clarion 2, a collection of speculative fiction and criticism edited by Robin Scott Wilson. This is a story by Molly Daniel called Winter Housekeeping. At first, there was no traffic along the street where Sarah lived.
I keep forgetting to just create a new layer.
Behind a silver-grown shrub.
Why do I keep
Sarah
forgetting
lay in
these
the unbearable
simple
dark silence of the bedroom,
things?
listening. Age was seeping through the house like an odorless gas, permeating the floorboards and rising slowly to the ceiling. It was in all the rooms, getting stronger every minute, and it ached. Sarah could feel the ache of old age pulsing all around her, brushing against her face as she lay in bed. A current of it swept her cheek, and she held her breath until finally she had to inhale.
Yes.
She felt age burn her nostrils and throat, finally impacting on her lungs. Her chest rattled with a force as she coughed, a labored, wheezing sound. She felt her husband's weight shift on the bed, and a voice came out of the darkness. Did you forget to take your medicine again?
Oh, I hate this. I never forget to take my medicine.
His hand slid over to touch hers under the sheets.
You mean you never remember?
The hand was heavy and dry, and it trembled in hers until she pulled away. Henry's voice came again, louder and closer.
It isn't the same thing, is it?
She lay very still on the bed, blotting out everything and trying to think herself far away. She felt herself slipping into the darkness when Henry's words brought her back sharply.
It is, isn't it? I thought you were over that, Sarah. We've done all we can do. You've got to quit thinking about it.
Age was swirling around her neck, tugging at the folds of flesh that hung there. She shivered and pulled the covers
I gotta
up under
wait.
her chin.
I gotta wait for it.
Sarah!
She didn't answer.
Gotta
and began to
wait
talk in a
for
low
it.
voice.
Sarah, there's no point
Come on.
in trying to start over. We've had our life, and we've had most of it together. Now, that's something, isn't it? And we can't throw it away. No matter how hard you try, you can't throw it away.
You can't.
She had thrown away the dishes when she had realized about the food. It was poisoning them. She knew it in the slight, barely perceptible wrongness that made familiar food stick in her throat. She changed the cooking habits of 50 years, adding spices and fruits with exotic names, but the wrongness persisted, and even Henry began to complain. In the end, she saw that it was the dishes. The heavy china that had been a wedding present was releasing age, saturating their food with the pent-up years. She threw it away, bought new china with a bright floral pattern, and
fair.
found that she could eat again. The rugs were the next to go, and her feet quit hurting at the end of the day. The old wallpaper was stripped away, all the
My
pictures
son-
were replaced. And
My son
suddenly
is a
she found that her eyes
Is a
didn't
sweetie
burn
and
whenever
just
she
made
tried to
coffee
read.
for me. Oh,
She routed out
oh,
the
so
years and
cute.
age
Oh,
and
Haven, your son is so cute.
sucking her gently
Oh,
to death.
if only I had made coffee for my mom.
Every day she
But
worked
she
hard.
always got mad when I did it.
Through it
Yeah,
all,
Kevon's-
Henry stood by, unquestioning, seeming to understand. He didn't seem to care that she was working to save
If
them
Kevon's
both,
there,
but
Kevon's
he didn't
there.
try to stop her. He just
Yeah,
stood
Beth's
by,
son
shaking his head,
knows exactly what makes mommy happy.
and he didn't get younger. Every time she finished a project, she would come to
If
him a little
Kevon's
stronger,
if
a little
Kevon's
finer,
here,
and he was always
she's probably lurking.
He was like the house, heavy, solid,
Yeah, yay!
foundation.
It's
He accused him
Kevon.
of not wanting to grow younger
It's all
with
right.
her,
Lurk.
Henry said.
Enjoy your lurk.
I don't ever want
We just
to
enjoy
lose
you.
She didn't know what he meant. Finally, when everything in the house had been replaced,
We just enjoy you, you cute kitty.
she felt better than she
There
had
you
in
go.
years.
Thank you for being here and thank you for being awesome.
Her skin was still mottled,
Mine reminded
her
me.
hair was still yellow
I
and
think
Inside,
Britain
she was
is
15.
where
Her body
Haven's
was still
from.
70 and rusting
Scotland.
toward death.
Yeah, I'm stupid.
She
Haven.
couldn't die
I'm
inside this
stupid.
ugly
I was
old
like,
woman. She had to
Britain?
get out. She told him
Nah, I'm
to,
dumb.
and he refused.
Oh, Sarah, we can't sell the house. The house is all we have left. It's us, Sarah, and we can't live anywhere else.
Killing us.
Failure and age closed in around her, and she suddenly felt
Yay, hugs.
Kill us both.
Thank you.
Tied.
Yeah, don't even
he
think
came
about
closer
my
until he was
stupidity.
leaning over her, talking
Nobody reminds.
Sarah, I don't want to lose you. I can't put you away. I can't do it, but I'm going to have to if you don't stop this. I let you have your way, and it didn't help. And now you're just going to have to quit it.
He was breathing hard, and she could feel the warm, sour breath on her face. It felt like the currents of age that were poisoning the house.
Oh my goodness.
His breath
This is a real dark episode. Oh, so much love. If only it wasn't just 5 seconds for each hug. But you know you're amazing, Kat Vaughn. You know you're awesome.
I've been carrying on like a crazy woman.
Hug people.
Don't know what came over me.
Oh no, Board is getting angry. Angie Board.
She waited until he had been asleep a long time before she slipped out of bed, felt her way to the closet, and retrieved the plastic cleaning bag. He didn't wake up. She had known he wouldn't. For a moment, she wondered sadly how he could be so willing to die. She would have to find someone, she thought, who needed to live as badly as she did. She crossed the room and drew back the curtain so that a little pale light fell across the bed. And then, straddling him, she watched her arms grow firmer and her skin grow smoother as she held him down.
Jeebus Christmas. You know, sometimes you just gotta find someone that you can live with. Ugh.
That was Winter Housekeeping, a story by Molly Daniel that comes from Clarion 2, edited by Robin Scott Wilson.
You know, I want to find that woman that I can live with. That person that I could stay with the rest of my life. But not like that. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe not. Whoop. Yeah, I'm dressed and can now fool people into thinking I'm a functional adult. Don't we all? I mean, not all of us. Haven is a functional adult, so I know that. I'm pretty functional.
This is The Public Hating by Steve Allen.
I just wish I had more function, but I
The weather was
am
a little cloudy
functional.
on September 9th, and here and there in the crowds that surged up the ramps into the stadium.
And I
people
think
were
you're
looking
pretty
outside
functional.
and at their neighbors and squinting and saying, "Hope she doesn't rain."
An adult?
On television, the
You
weatherman
have to accept
forecast
it, Board.
slight cloudiness, but no
You're an
showers.
adult
It was not
now.
cold. All over the neighborhood surrounding the stadium, people poured out of streetcars and buses and subways.
Dad, I needed an
Ants
adult.
like lines that crawled
Hi,
across
I'm
the
Dad.
turnstiles
Our
of
cleric
stadium
will
on
sometimes
that
stop the
Tuesday
combat,
sky.
just have a drink with his god.
Laughing,
He calls
sweating
it
restlessly,
the wine
arms of
intervention.
excitement, they came shuffling into the great
I
field
hate
of
that.
gold, some stopping to go to the restroom, some buying popcorn, some taking
Ugh.
free pamphlets from the uniform.
I hate
vendors.
that.
Everything
So
was
that
free
must
this
mean it's
particular
great.
day. No tickets had been sold for the event. The public proclamations had simply been made in the newspapers and on TV, and over 65,000 people had responded. For weeks, of course, the papers had been suggesting that the event would take place.
I'm working on it.
Trial, even as early as
Got a meeting next week and gonna talk about leaving the group meetings end of this month and get to test my skills and abilities in some practical work.
The
Yeah.
television networks had actually gotten a slight jump on the papers. At 6 o'clock,
Bored,
the
I'm-
government had
I
taken
wasn't
over all
expecting
network
you to write it.
facilities for a brief 5-minute period during which
I'm not a
announcements were made.
functional adult. I
The
break
premier
things.
had said,
Well, you already raised a kid that's 10 years old and grabs you coffee. I think that's very functional.
Early this afternoon, the jury returned a verdict of guilty. The verdict having
You
been
made
confirmed
the
now by
best
the
son,
Supreme
so
Court in the
you
interest
had to
of
do
time
you had to
the
have
White
done
House has
something
decided to
right.
make the usual prompt official announcement. There will be a public hating tomorrow. The time, 2:30 p.m., the place, Yankee Stadium in New York City. Your assistance is earnestly
Hey.
requested, those of you in the New
Purpley
York area
Wolf,
will
it's
find.
okay.
And the voice had
It's
gone
all
on,
right.
filling in other details.
You'll get
And in
there.
the morning, the early editions of the newspapers
You'll get there.
included
Don't
pictures
feel
captioned,
pressured now.
Bronx couple first in line, and students wait all night to view it.
We all have our crosses to bear.
Early birds. By 1:30 in the afternoon, there was not an empty seat in the stadium, and people were beginning to fill up a few of the aisles. Special police began to block off the exits, and word was sent down to the
Today I
street.
made coffee, I did the dishes, and I
Hawkers
made
pushed through
food.
the crowd selling
Making a
cold beer
proper
and hot
kid
dogs.
that acts good is amazing. I
Sitting
did
just
make the
back
best
of
son.
what
He
would have
is
been first
amazing.
base at the
Help, I
Yankee
need
National
important
playing
things
in
in the list.
Cleveland.
You're
But the
denied.
crowd stared curiously at the platform in the middle of the
Well,
field.
Board, you did a lot
It
of
was about
things.
twice the size of
You
a
spent
football
hours
stadium.
working on
In the middle
working
of
on
it,
stuff.
there was a
That's what
small
you
raised
told me.
section on which was placed a
You're
plain wooden
functional.
kitchen chair. To the left of the chair, there were seating accommodations for a small group of dignitaries.
You're working on stuff all the
Downstage,
time.
so to speak.
Don't act like
There was a
you're
speaker's
not
lectern, a
anybody.
battery of microphones. The platform was hung with bunting.
You get no sympathy from me.
The crowd was beginning to hum ominously. At 2 minutes after 2
Unlike
o'clock,
these
a
other
small group
people,
of
I
men
know that
filed
you're a
out onto the
functional
field from a
person.
point just back of home plate. The crowd buzzed more loudly for a moment and then burst into applause. The men carefully climbed a few wooden steps.
Hey, Paul, am
walked
I
in single
somebody
file
denied
across
for
the
filtering
platform and
rules?
seated themselves on the chairs set out for them. Turned around and was interested to observe high in the press box.
Oh,
the red lights and
yeah.
television cameras. And he said softly to his companion,
Yeah, just being
"Yeah, I
you.
suppose, but
That denied you. Oh, look at that. That's so cool. That is radical as shit right there.
Traub listened for a moment.
I
to the
gotta
voices
say,
around
that's
him.
so cool right there.
Surprisingly, no one seemed to be discussing the business at hand.
Just sometimes you're just
Baseball,
like,
movies, the
ah,
weather,
man,
gossip,
I don't
personal
even know how I'm
small
gonna
talk,
do this.
1,001 subjects
And then you
were
do it,
introduced.
and then you're like, oh,
It was almost as
oh,
if
I'm
they
so
were
radical, I'm
trying
so smart,
not to mention the
I'm
haters.
so cool.
Traub's friend's voice broke in on Traub's reverie.
All right, have a good day, Purpley Wolf. Just know that you're amazing and awesome, and we're glad that you just hung out with us. Thank you for even just being here for as long as you were. I can only
Beats the hell
say
out of
thank
me,
you.
know? I think it was that guy at Duke University who first came up with the idea. The mind over matter thing's been around
Thank
a long
you
time,
for
of
being
course, but
sweet.
This guy, he was the first one to prove scientifically
Yeah,
that
remember
mind
you're
can
awesome.
control matter.
Did it with dice, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. First he found some guys who, could drop a dozen or so dice down a chute of some kind.
I guarantee you
That's
could
the
make your
control
own
direction
bot the
they
same
take,
way I
and
did,
they
Go.
discovered
I
the
could
secret.
walk you
It
through
was
it.
really simple.
Yeah, but you did
The
it for
guys
me,
who
so I don't
couldn't
have to.
control the dice
Thank you all so much.
simply the
Y'all are
guys who
amazing.
thought they could.
Aww.
Then one time
Big
he got the idea of taking
hugs.
the dice into an auditorium and having about 2,000 people concentrate on forcing the dice one way or the other. That did it. It was the most natural thing in
You
the
get
world.
big
when you think about
hugs.
it.
Don't
See, if
forget
one
you're
horse can pull a heavy load
awesome.
so far and so fast, it figures that 10 horses can pull it a lot farther and a lot faster. They had those dice
Don't
falling where
forget
they
you're
wanted them
amazing
80%
and
of the time.
stupendous.
When did they first
And we
substitute
just
a
thank
living
you for
organism
being
the dice?
here
At
and
the end,
being
the final
awesome.
was quite a few years ago, and at first the government sort of clamped down on the thing. There was a little last-ditch fight from the churches, I think, but they finally realized you couldn't stop it.
Is this an unusually large crowd?
Nah, not for a political prisoner. I mean, you take a rapist or a murderer, some of them don't pull more than maybe 20, 30,000. The people just don't get stirred up enough. The sun had come out from behind the cloud now, and Traub watched silently as large map-shaped shadows moved majestically across the grass. She's warming up, someone said. Yeah, that's right, a voice agreed. It's going to be real nice. Traub leaned forward and lowered his head as he retied the laces on his
You
right
guys
shoe.
are awesome
Next
people,
instant, he
though.
was shocked to attention
Just-
by a guttural
Just
roar
look at
from the
this.
crowd.
This looks like a mad scientist, though.
In distant right
This
center
looks like a
field,
real
three
mad
men were
scientist.
walking
Maybe I
toward
could
the
make
platform.
make
Two of
that
them
go into
walking
this.
together. The third was slouched.
really
and
fill
held
that
his head
in?
down, his gait
That'd be good.
Traub had thought he was going to be all right, but now, looking at the tired figure being prodded towards second base, and looking at the bare, bald head, he began to feel slightly sick. It seemed to take forever before the two guards jostled the prisoner up the stairs and toward the small kitchen chair. When he reached it and seated himself, the crowd roared again. A tall,
Oh yeah, the
distinguished man
glow is
stepped
what
to the
really
speaker's
gets
lectern
it.
and cleared his throat, raising his right hand in an appeal for quiet. And he said,
Oh yeah.
All right, all right. The mob slowly fell silent. Traub clasped his hands tightly together. He felt a little ashamed. The speaker went on. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the President of the United States, I welcome you to another public hating. This particular affair, as you know, is directed against the man who was yesterday judged guilty in United States District Court right here in New York City, Professor Arthur Ketteridge. At the mention of Ketteridge's name, the crowd made a noise like an earthquake rumble. Several pop bottles were thrown futilely from the center field bleachers. We will begin in just a moment. But first, I should like to introduce the Reverend Charles Fuller of the Park Avenue Reborn Church, who will make the invocation. A small man with glasses stepped forward, replaced the first speaker at the microphone, closed his
Yeah,
eyes,
just
and
the
drew back his
YouTube
head.
AFK. Oh no, AFK Arena. Oh no. I hope you enjoy your AFK Arena.
Grant, we beseech thee, that we act today in justice and in the spirit of truth.
But no, I gotta say, Haven, if we're talking about functionality, you have an amazing kid, you're an awesome person, like, I gotta say, and you come in here all the time making me feel good just being here. I think you're doing pretty damn good to me.
Search deep into this man's heart for the seed of repentance, if there be such, and if there be not, plant it therein, O Lord, in thy goodness and mercy. Amen.
The crowd, which had stood quietly during
I'm
the
just
prayer,
being
now sat down
honest.
and began to buzz again. The first speaker rose.
Gonna have to scram, you lovely people. Take all the care. Hugs to all. We love you, Raven. You crazy so-and-so.
Yes,
You better get some lovin' too. Stay out of trouble now. Don't do anything I wouldn't.
At this time, I would like to introduce to you a very great American who, to use the old phrase, needs no introduction. Former president of Harvard University, current advisor to the Secretary of State, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Howard S. Weltmer. A wave of applause vibrated the air. Dr. Weltmer stepped forward, shook hands with the speaker, and adjusted the microphone.
Thank you. Now, we won't waste any more time here, since what we are about to do will take every bit of our energy and concentration if it is to be successfully accomplished. I ask you all to direct your unwavering attention toward the man seated in the chair to my left here. A man who, in my opinion, is the most despicable criminal of our time, Professor Arthur Ketteridge.
The mob shrieked.
I ask you to rise. That's it. Everybody stand up. Now, I want every one of you. I understand we have upwards of 70,000 people here today. I want every single one of you to stare directly at this fiend in human form, Ketteridge. And I want you to let him know, by the wondrous power that lies in the strength of your emotional reservoirs, I want you to let him know that he is a criminal, that he is worse than a murderer, that he has committed treason, that he is not loved by anyone, anywhere in the universe, and that he is rather despised with a vigor equal to the power of the sun itself.
People around Traub were shaking their fists now. Their eyes were narrowed, their mouths turned down at the corners. A woman fainted.
Come on, let's feel it.
Under the spell of the speaker, Traub was suddenly horrified to find that his blood was racing, his heart pounding. He felt anger surging up in him. He could not believe he hated Ketteridge, but he could not deny he hated something.
On the souls of your mothers, on the future of your children, out of your love for your country, I demand of you that you unleash your power to despise. I want you to become ferocious. I want you to become as beasts of the jungle, as furious as they in the defense of their homes. Do you hate this man?
Yes, roared the crowd.
Fiend, enemy of the people, do you hear, Ketteridge?
Traub watched in dry-mouthed fascination as the slumped figure in the chair straightened up convulsively and jerked at his collar. At this first indication that their power was reaching home, the crowd roared to a new peak of excitement.
We plead with you people watching today on your television sets to join with us in hating this wretch. All over America, stand up if you will. Stand in your living rooms, face the east, face New York City, and let anger flood your hearts. Speak it out. Let it flow.
Yes, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Sorry. Sorry. I was just getting into it. I'm sorry.
The man had discarded for the moment and fastened them on Ketteridge's figure, twirling the focus
Shit.
furiously.
I have to say, this might be my favorite panel so far. Just by lighting alone.
That he was in obvious pain.
He is not fit to live.
It just looks
Turn your
so
anger
good.
upon him. Channel it. Make it productive. Be not angry with your family, your friends, your fellow citizens, but let your anger pour out in a violent torrent on the head of this human devil. Come on, let's do it. Let's get it over with.
At that moment, Traub was at last convinced of the enormity of Ketteridge's crime, and Weltmer said,
All right, that's it.
Yeah.
Now let's get down to brass tacks.
It is looking really awesome.
Concentrate on his right arm. Hate it, do you hear?
Let's get...
Burn the flesh from the bone. You can do it. Come on. Burn him alive.
Whoa.
Stared unblinking through the binoculars at Ketteridge's right arm as the prisoner leaped to his feet and ripped off his jacket, howling.
I told you to save, as my son just closed his game without saving and lost progress. Oh! No, little buddy! No! Little bro! Oh, what game? Shit. Shit, dog. Oh. That's no es bueno.
Smite this devil. That's it.
The flesh was turning darker now across the shoulders as Ketteridge tore his shirt off. Screaming, he broke away from his chair and leaped off the platform, landing on his knees on the grass.
Maybe I need to change the channel.
Wonderful. We've got him now. Now, let's really turn it on. Come on.
Ketteridge writhed on the grass and then rose.
This is the checkers game where grandson and granddad will bond.
I'm just changing it.
This is the kitchen where
but his mind is as sharp as his tongue.
Linked by the S-projector, Joe may well be the dominant mind.
Can you guys hear?
Joe could eventually control Ed?
I think they could be engaged in a mental war for dominance they're not even aware of. A war that Joe will surely win.
Ah, bro.
I think Anglesey is aware of it. He's not afraid of Jupiter. He's afraid of losing himself. And that's the fear which blows out the K-tubes.
Oh, what does this have to do with landing the colony?
I'll show you. Look here.
An S-projector helmet?
A spare, which I brought from Earth. Now, I intend to patch it into the Scilab from here. And listen to Anglesey's thoughts while he's linking with Joe, but I want him distracted. He's been waiting for the colony ships to land for a long time. It would get his full attention.
No. It's too great a gamble. What if you're wrong?
If I'm wrong, you're no worse off than you are now. We've just moved the schedule up a bit. But if I'm right, then any future Psi controller will become a Jovian. A monster with two bodies and one mind, with the human body being the unimportant auxiliary one. Now, no Psi controller will volunteer for that. And your Jupiter project will be finished. We've got to know.
So, we risk everything. All right. We'll do it. Looks like Joe is going to get some company.
Initiating J ship ignition sequence. Mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition.
Well, they're off, Cornelius. All 14 ships. We'll be tracking them as they try to fight their way to the surface.
Each containing a superior living being. Sleeping, but with a superb brain. Tragic if you lose even one.
If your theory is right, we'll lose them all, one way or another.
J ships entering Jovian atmosphere. 14 ships descending. 14 ships descending. 13 ships descending. 13 ships descending.
It started.
All right. Anglesey is controlling Joe. They'll be fully occupied looking for landing ships. Now I'm going to put on the second S-projector helmet. It's time we had some answers.
Doctor, how would you know who's in control?
Quite simple, really. The S-projector helmet has filters preset to the patterns of human thought. Now, nothing else can be received. I'll tune in to Anglesey and listen. If he's still in control of his own thoughts, I'll hear them. If Joe, a non-human, is in control, I won't be able to hear anything.
12 ships descending. 12 ships descending.
I'll need your help in my quarters.
Let's do it.
All right, the helmet's in place. Powered up. Filter set. When I tell you to, plug the connector directly into the patch bay.
Right.
Now. But where am I?
Get out of my mind. Cornelius, I should have known you'd try to probe my thoughts. Let's have a look at yours.
Oh, my mind!
I'll warn you once. Don't ever come back in the Scilab, understand? K-tubes or not, I don't want to ever see you again. Now sign off. Leave me alone. The first ship will be landing in minutes. I may be a cripple, but I can still take you apart, cell by cell.
You, a cripple? You? Joe Anglesey?
What do you mean?
Don't you understand? You know how the S-projector works. You know I could have probed Anglesey's mind and Anglesey's brain without making enough interference to be noticed. And I could not have probed a wholly non-human mind at all, nor could it have been aware of me. The filters would not have passed such a signal. Yet you felt me in the first fractional second. It can only mean a human mind in a non-human brain. Anglesey, you're not the half corpse in a wheelchair anymore. You are Joe. Joe Anglesey.
Well, I'll be damned. You're right. So I won't be needing that human body anymore. And I don't need you in my brain, Cornelius. Go.
Viken, he's coming around. I've got to get back to Anglesey.
Thanks, Doc. Cornelius. Cornelius, can you hear me?
Huh? I Oh, my head.
Don't worry. You'll be okay. But you had a close call.
The ships, how many made it down?
9. 2 males and 7 females. Enough to start a colony.
Good. Joe will like that.
Joe will like it? What about Ed Angelsy? He's dying in that medibed over there. What the hell went wrong down there?
Viking, we're losing Angelsy.
Save him, Doc.
No, let him go. You can't save a man who's decided not to live.
Decided? How could he have decided anything? He's been unconscious ever since we pulled him out of the S projector.
It was decided before that. As a matter of fact, that body on the medibed no longer has a mind. I know. I was there.
He's gone.
Shut that thing off.
There was nothing anyone could do. The shock. Too deep.
Shut it off. Sorry, Doc. Well, I guess this winds up the project. We'll never get another psi controller. You were right, Cornelius.
No. Viking, no. I was wrong. This isn't the end. It's the beginning.
What do you mean?
Ed Angelsy is alive. Or at least his mind is alive down there in Joe's body. The S-projector pseudo-relationship is different than we ever dreamed. Joe never did have a mind of his own. It was Angelsy all along. The S-projector didn't just create the illusion that he was in Joe's body on Jupiter.
I'm getting very sleepy.
He was in Joe's body.
I'm getting
a stronger,
slightly
more
sleepy. What time
perfect
is
body
it?
than
It's
anything in
4:50.
nature.
It's goddamn
Naturally, he'd want to stay in that body.
It's goddamn
Anyone
sleepy
would.
time, guys.
And that's why the K-tubes were
But
burning out.
Let's
Not
try to
because
finish
Angelsy
the
was afraid to
small
stay on
little
Jupiter.
details.
He was afraid to come back.
And other psi controllers?
Let's try to finish some of this.
It's unavoidable.
Just a few
The
things.
mind will naturally be drawn to the superior brain. Your psi controllers will
Sleepy
eventually become
goat,
Jovians
I
and
am a
discard their human
sleepy
bodies.
goat.
Why would anyone in their right
I'm a very
mind
sleepy
voluntarily
boy.
control a pseudo?
To get a new
If
life.
only I had
The old,
somebody
the sick,
to tuck
the
me
hopelessly
in.
crippled. They can be reborn in healthy Jovian bodies. Who knows, Arn? When you and I grow old, maybe we'd like to enjoy an extra lifetime on Jupiter. A hard, lusty, stormy kind of life, granted. Dangerous, brawling, violent. But life as no human has lived in centuries. Oh, yes, you'll have no trouble finding Jovians.
And Joe? What about Joe?
I'm sure you'll be hearing from him as soon as he can build a radio. After all, he's still at Angelsy, still dedicated to the project. He'll have a lot to talk about. But for now, I'm sure he's occupied with other matters.
This J-ship hatch should have opened by now. Must be an emergency release here soon, huh? A female. Please, come out. Come to me. Good. Don't be afraid of me. Don't be afraid of anything. This is your new home.
Oh, yeah, look at that. That really changes out. I would tuck you in, but it's so far. Oh, man. I just need someone cool to
Our
tuck.
cast for Call
Bro,
Me Joe
it's not
featured
weird.
Gary Moody as Ed Angelsy and Joe.
It's not
Rick
weird.
Spiegel as Arn Viken.
It's
And
just,
Bryce Armstrong
it's
as
just two
John
bros
Cornelius.
tucking each other in.
Other voices were Greg Loso and Gloria Hawking. The original story,
two
Call Me
bros
Joe, was
tucking
written
each
by
other
Paul
in.
Anderson and adapted for Sci-Fi Radio by Stephen White. Our director was John O. Williams. All music and sound effects were created by Ron DiUlio at the Studio of Audio Visual Associates in Euless, Texas. The series producers are Kevin Singer and Ron DiUlio. Support for Sci-Fi Radio has been provided by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. This is James Edward Kerr, inviting you to join me soon for our next venture into the imaginary worlds of Sci-Fi Radio.
Also, these voices are really not helping me. I want to go to bed. Like, serious though. They want me to go to bed. I feel it. On a guitar? That makes you want to go to bed so bad.
A-roving in this world am I. I'll go no more a-roving from thee, fair mates. Your eyes are like the morning bride of fair.
Stop where you are, you Dermy.
Sure is foggy, ain't it? Come here now, Sonny. I can't see you. You better come a little bit closer. Don't worry. I ain't no Dermy.
No one but a crazy Dermy be fool enough to make that much noise.
No, I'm just singing to keep myself company. Past caring about the plague. I'm headed north where there's people. And if some Dermy happens to hear me singing, well, I'll just tell him to join on in. So, what's the use of being healthy if you're alone?
Okay, old man, that's far enough. Hold out your hands where I can take a look at them. Now, palms up. Okay. But keep your distance.
Now, see? Told you I wasn't no Dermy.
You know that doesn't prove anything. You could still have been touched on your back or your legs, and the grunge just hasn't made it to your hands yet.
No. I told you.
Hold it! If you want to live, stay put.
Okay, Sonny, okay. I ain't gonna touch it.
Yeah, look at that.
Traveling south. Aiming to scrounge in Houston, are you?
Yeah. I think your people got out so fast, they must have left plenty of canned goods and stuff behind. You must have come through there. Anything left?
There's a mite here and there. Of course, you ain't the first to figure that way. You know.
That is a good question, though.
No, not a lot.
Who am I going to send you guys to?
You'll shoot first, then see if
Because I'm going to tuck myself in just a little bit.
Thanks, old man.
Who am I going to send you guys to?
You talk with somebody beside myself for a change.
Who's on?
Sorry I had to keep the gun on you. You're free to go on.
Well, that's okay, young fella.
Simon's on.
Stay healthy.
D20's on.
You've got to be real careful now.
Real Kazoo is on. There's some wonderful people. What do you guys think? Because I'm getting real sleepy. Oh, thank you, big guy. Bro.
It is fall.
Fist
Solitary
bump, bro.
travelers wander abandoned highways.
It's just bros.
Fearful of contact.
Making other
suspicious
bros
of all.
feel comfy.
Strangers, friends, lovers, anyone can be a carrier. The disease, contagious lunacy, the gray plague, an alien pestilence, neuroderm.
But let's think. Since we're all comfy and cozy, who is
It
gonna
began
get
on a
us?
spring evening rich with friendship and laughter.
Yeah, how about Kaz? You know what? If it's Kaz, then it's Kaz. The realest of Kazes. So let's go, let me go to my Twitch, my Twitch thing. I love that soft light. That soft light looks so good. Looks so tasty. You know what? Oh no, it's a boy. How do you say his name again? Let's see. How do you say his name again? How do you type it in? Real Kazoo. Real Kazoo Gaming. How about that? Did that do it? Yeah, it did it. Alright, guys. Alright, you an incredible people. You You stupendous, incredible, awesome people. You know I love you. You guys stay out of trouble, and oh, yeah, I did it. I did it. But you guys stay out of trouble. You guys, oh, thank you. Tell Kaz he's amazing. Tell Kaz he's awesome, and I will see you guys next time after everything's done and gone. I will see you guys next time, and bye-bye. Yeah, bye-bye.